Should be good again? Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors April 1st meeting to order. Please stand so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please silence your cell phones during the meeting. Thank you. The Board of Supervisor meeting was advertised. The Thursday, April 1st Board of Supervisor meeting was duly advertised in accordance with the second-class township code. First, I want to start off by thanking the public that's in attendance for taking, and including on Zoom, for taking the time to attend this meeting and their interest in the community and local governance of their community. I also would like to take a quick moment so that Ken can explain. We have a very different setup here. So Ken can explain exactly what has been done so that we can try to get as many people to participate in the meetings as possible, as well as providing everyone with the flexibility to either remotely tie in or to come in person, however they feel comfortable. Go ahead, Ken.
Okay, so we're this is going out live on Zoom. What you see on the screen here is what you would see from home if you're looking at it from your home computer. We've had some audio issues. While we had a really bad echo, I think we've gotten rid of that. And hopefully when people call in, we'll be able to hear them when they speak if they unmute their microphones. So we do have other people attending virtually. Those are the icons across the top. And so we can hope for the best. The Wi-Fi signal in here was bad enough that we couldn't use it for this. So.
Thank you. I'd also like to, for the record, notify everyone that we did have the following executive sessions. On March 20th, on Saturday, from 8 o'clock to 10:15, there was an executive session for personnel matters. On the 22nd of March, from 8 to 8:30, there was an all-hands-on-deck staff meeting that was held within the building.
Oh my God.
On the 22nd, there was also from 8:30 until 9:45 an executive session for personnel matters. And then on the 25th, there was a staff meeting from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. related to some W-2s and some information internally, and I'll describe what that is later. Thank you. Let's move on to past meeting minutes for approval. These are the meeting minutes from Thursday, March 18th from the Board of Supervisors meeting. Are there any corrections, modifications, anything we accidentally omitted?
I've had a chance to look over that.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I will make that.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to action items, land planning engineer.
Good morning.
Morning.
First project on the agenda is earth, turf, and wood, relatively minor item to deal with relative to that project. And that's related to the preliminary final land development lot add-on plan. There's been discussion in prior meetings about the project. Currently, the applicant is primarily waiting on a response from DEP is a conservation district relative to their NPDES permit. They have received some recent correspondence from the authority relative to the water availability. So the motion before you this morning would be a motion to accept the written time extension offer as submitted by the applicant's consultant dated March 26, 2021, which will extend the deadline for action on the Earth Turf and Wood Inc. preliminary final land development lot add-on plan until July 15, 2021.
Anyone here representing that plan?
I did not expect any.
Okay, any comments, questions? I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
With respect to that project, I would offer that it, maybe at the end of the land, if there's an interest, I could provide some information or clarify certain points relative to the transportation impact fee program. And some statements were made, not necessarily specific to this project, but just to answer some broader questions if there are. The next project listed on the agenda is Four Seasons Produce. That's related to the warehouse expansion at their existing 45-acre property. The warehouse expansion, as discussed at prior meetings, is approximately 129,000 square foot. There is a secondary building expansion that is identified on the plan, but not immediately anticipated to be constructed. For approximately 21 to 22,000 square feet. The applicant did recently get a zoning hearing decision related to the project, including one of the items they were pursuing as it pertains to parking and the ability to delay or not be required to install certain additional parking based on the specific conditions identified in that zoning hearing decision. At your prior meeting, you had recommended approval, or you had approved various waiver modifications related to the project. The applicant has subsequently submitted updated plans March 22nd. We are currently reviewing those plans. We are also working in conjunction with township solicitor on multiple documents, agreements, financial security, all those related aspects. So as a result of that effort, there are two motions I figured I would try to have you address tonight or this morning rather to deal with the project and move these efforts forward. One would be related to a traffic signal easement agreement, and the other would be related to the stormwater management easement. To clarify, the traffic signal easement agreement as part of the review of the plan, it was identified that certain equipment adjacent to the intersection related to the traffic signal was not shown within an existing easement. So the recommendation from our office in township was that an easement be established to authorize the township to be able to maintain those facilities in the long term. So that draft agreement has been reviewed. Solicitor is updating to the form to the applicant. So the motion would be to authorize the board of supervisors to sign the traffic signal easement agreement when signed by the applicant, submitted to the township in a form acceptable to the township and township solicitor.
Is there anyone representing that plan here?
I did not expect anybody.
Okay. Any questions or comments? I will make that motion.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
The next motion would be to authorize the board of supervisors to sign the stormwater management easement agreement when signed by the applicant, submitted to the township in a form acceptable to the township and township solicitor.
I will make that motion.
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I would highlight that one of the aspects we're currently focusing on to allow the applicant to obtain the necessary financial security, and we are reviewing the construction cost opinion related to the project. I would highlight that there are no dedicated facilities associated with it, such as in a subdivision where the roadway would be dedicated to the township. These are all private facilities related to stormwater and other aspects of the project. So I will be confirming the amount which is acceptable, which I feel should be acceptable. It's going to be in the range of over $1 billion. When you add up all the impacts and associated construction of landscaping and miscellaneous facilities. So just highlight that to you, that's one of the next correspondence will be issued. And the applicant intends to be before you next meeting to obtain conditional or final approval of the plan. They have received word that their NPDS permit is on the verge of being issued. They had previously resubmitted to the authority, so they're anticipating those issues to be resolved in the near future. So that's just forecast for you what to expect. On the updated engineer's report, which we issued yesterday, there was a time extension submittal recently received for Shady Grove campground lot annexation and stormwater plan. If you would want, we could process that time extension if you have an interest in doing that. The motion would be to accept the written time extension offer as submitted by the applicant's consultant dated March 26, 2021, which will extend the deadline for action on the Shady Grove campground lot annexation and stormwater management plan until June 24th, 2021.
And is there anyone here representing that plan? Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I will second that. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Those were the formal action items. I did want to bring up one other project-related discussion, and I know Chief Kepley sat in on the planning commission recently. They seemed eagerly sat in on a lengthy discussion of the planning commission. One of the projects discussed was the sketch plan for the crossings at Cocalico, which is be a residential proposed sketch plan stage residential village overlay development in the vicinity of 897 and 272. I'll say opposite Weaver's Market on the what's maybe locally referred to as Garment Track. As part of those discussions and the sketch plan submittal, there were numerous waiver modifications of sections of the village overlay in Saldo, subdivision land development ordinance. Ultimately, the planning commission indicated that based on the nature of some of those requests that relate to the fundamental aspects of the village overlay requirements, they did not provide any formal recommendations to pass along at this time. We'll want additional time to consider those, the impact they have on the layout of this development and how they may affect similar village overlay projects in the works. So at the conclusion of the meeting, the applicant's team, which consisted of representatives from Garmin, their attorney, their designer from Pioneer Management, had asked what's the next step and had requested to come before the board. And since I don't set your agenda or identify what you're willing to hear and not hear and when it fits into your schedule, I indicated that this meeting was already set with the engineer's report, and they said yes, their hope would be to attend the meeting on November 15th. Yep. And I said I would discuss that with you to see what your thoughts are. I could see it could go different ways, that sometimes the board does not want to get out in front of the planning commission on items they're considering, would rather hear those recommendations. I could see you want to hear conceptually what the project's about and maybe what those issues are and those future modification requests and start formulating some opinion and be involved in that discussion in some way. So I'll put it back to you there, and the Chief Kepley can respond, but I think they're looking for some guidance, and that doesn't come from me, that needs to come from you, so.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely said that they would like to come, but again, don't know that anyone here wants to override anything the planning commission, because the planning commission had numerous items, which it seemed that Garmin was somewhat receptive to most of them. But that would be a decision that needs to be made by the two of you, because again, the planning commission did have several items for them.
Yeah. You want to agree to at least have them present their information and indicate that you will likely wait to hear additional information. That way, you don't want to set up false expectations for them, come somewhere thinking they have opportunities that really are unrealistic. I always encourage the best direction and guidance back to them so they can operate as efficiently as they can. So if you want to, bottom line is,
Well, I guess not knowing what their concerns are, other than us having an informational meeting with them where we're not going to make any decisions, hearing what this feedback is. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. If there's a decision to be made later on, we can do that in a public meeting. I'm a little in the dark with their thoughts on it.
Right.
I don't want to jump ahead of the planning commission either, but I think it's for us to gather information on this probably would be a good thing.
Yeah, my opinion is, I think conceptually, Brett, I have no problem hearing what they have to say. We can hear that in parallel, because as you said, Jeff, it's strictly informational based. We're not sidestepping or stepping in front of planning. Planning still has to do what they have to do. But it doesn't hurt to get some feedback, to get some data points and see what they're thinking.
That's it.
To think
That's
through
the
the
point.
process.
Yeah.
So, okay,
with that information, I think we can formulate a response back to them. I would indicate in a similar example, but previous to this, that may have been handled a little different, would be the Zimmerman tract, where the initial request was such a stretch in terms of the unit type initially, completely one type and not at all consistent. There was some recommendation from staff and our office at the sketch book or at the pre-application stage that you might want to just jump ahead to the board, because if there's zero interest in considering that type of dramatic shift in an evaluation of village overlay, let's say the planning commission, consultants, their side, and everybody some additional time. So that was discussed with the planning commission, but also relatively quickly move forward and just say, is there any support for this? So I think there's a case where it played out and saved people some additional time and effort and got to the crux of the issue.
so Brett, to be clear, then the action item, you have what you need to go ahead and then respond.
Yeah, well, I'll copy chief and who was participating in that discussion, and we'll play back and see what their thoughts are. But basically, I'll be saying you see benefit in hearing what they have to present, but the expectation should not be that there'll be formal decisions or opinions rendered prior to the planning commission providing their guidance. I would highlight this is a sketch plan, which in some cases is a little unusual to deal with modifications and waivers during the sketch plan, but the nature of the village overlay design, the complexities there are certain issues that you have to get resolved early on, or you are wasting people's time and effort, and it unwinds the project to a point where it's very challenging for somebody to work efficiently and move forward. So Tom Goodman supports that approach, and the ordinance indicates that the intent with the village overlay is to work on a sketch plan level, and as it says in quotes, iron out key issues. So that's what we've done.
Okay.
As I noted earlier, if there is an interest, I can make a few statements to try to clarify aspects of the transportation impact fee program and maybe correct certain statements or information that's out there. That's totally up to you.
Yeah, I as a citizen would like, I understand the transportation impact fees, but I'd like to hear what Brent's comments are.
Okay.
Because, the gentleman that's pushing this, I don't think understands the intent of it. So I'd like to hear what Brent has to say.
Yeah, and I didn't want to get too bogged down in responding to particular projects, but that maybe there is some need to address particular statements as I understood them tonight. I did not listen to the prior meeting to research that, but I would say, first of all, if there was any statement that related to residential development and that residential development does not pay, that is not correct. All changes in use, residential, commercial, industrial, do pay transportation impact fee moving forward. I would also highlight that there seems to be some discussion and efforts at the township, which is thinking forward and projecting ahead and understanding impacts forward and how those affect things. And really, that is how the transportation impact fee program is set up. It's set up in accordance with the legislature's adoption of requirements as to how municipalities can set these programs up. That was obviously vetted by the development community, the building association. All those people have insight and pressures on how that process was set up. So it is intended to be fair in terms of how it's implemented, but it is not easy to implement a program, and it has to be justified through study and projections on development potential. So you have to evaluate the current roadway network. You have to, as a base situation, you have to evaluate ongoing approved development prior to adoption of the program, and then you have to evaluate future development impact. So it is a program thinking forward beyond what most do and identifying, as you keep loading the roadway network up with additional development, there are weak points, and those will not be adjacent to developments. They will be considered off-site, and there's no way to have improvements funded off-site legally through review of a land development plan unless you have a transportation impact fee program in place. So, and some discussion about, well, it's one of a few municipalities to have it. I think there's a handbook from PennDOT developed to highlight the transportation impact fee and how to develop one, and that was from 2009, and it indicated at that time there were at least 60 municipalities in 2009 that either had or were adopting programs or developing programs. So only more have occurred since then. And in terms of prior concerns regarding, there has been certain projects that expressed concern. In some cases, those projects, as time went on, either ended up with a signal adjacent to them or blended into the community, and now are coming back to the township for future opportunities to expand their operations. So the fee hasn't appeared to be a dramatic impact. And I think the most important aspect is that if there isn't a program in place, essentially all residents in the township are subsidizing the impacts of future development on the system, on the roadway network. And as a result, if you want a broad understanding of a municipality, residents or property owners on a program, it would be to identify that what willingness is there to have future taxes support the impacts of development on the network. And that's based on specific studies, actually inserting trips on the network, evaluating each key point and determining how does that intersection or that section of roadway performing, how is it efficient. And some, I think, also don't understand that you think you have an understanding maybe that if current base level, there are a lot of developments that are still being built out that were pre-programmed, pre-transportation impact fee program. Those would be examples of, say, the 35 lots in Carriage Hill, 100, or say in phase 2 of Wabash, the 70 units approved there. Those types of projects, really impact has not been fully felt on the current network as it exists today, yet alone future projects beyond that. And the handbook will tell you from PennDOT that it's not for every municipality. In general, there's a statement there that, you know, if you don't issue 50 building permits or 100,000 square foot of industrial growth consistently for a 5-year period, the program is probably not for you because it just doesn't generate enough revenue. So I think it's important for the residents and the board to understand, like, at this current point, we have Grundy Construction looking at 120 units, the Crossings at 172, Zimmerman Tract Village Overlay at 80. There's additional discussion with Black Horse, which are underway, and other industrial, Black Horse property, let's say, other industrial warehouse expansions and operations. So clearly, East Cocalico is a location that is, people are interested in being here, there's a reason to be here, and I think there has to be a long-term plan to address those. It doesn't have to be a transportation impact fee program, it could be another funding source, but there are gonna be implications from development. I don't think that fact is questioned, it's just how the municipality proceed to accumulate funds and address those. And the learner program obviously does offset those impacts currently. That program is not guaranteed, and that program does not apply to residential, so that would only be a benefit to commercial and industrial. I would also note that the board has expressed or adopted motions related to the capital improvement plan, I would say specifically related to Hill Road and the realignment of Hill Road, and had passed a motion saying they want to eventually amend the capital improvement plan to work with the Black Horse developer to possibly realign Hill Road or address the signalization of Hill Road, which is the current capital improvement project, come up with an alternate that solves that issue. So there's an example where if there is a development of the Black Horse property, that developer will be looking to team with the township and be looking to utilize the program that is out there and say, we are working towards a solution. We'll do our share, but in the case of that particular development, there are existing uses there. There will be a future use there. They only pay their impact fee based on the differential of that, which may not be what's perceived to be substantial, and therefore will have a limited amount of responsibility relative to the transportation impact fee program. PennDOT may require other improvements, but there was a request received yesterday for a scoping meeting on that project with PennDOT. As part of those scoping discussions, the fact that the township has a transportation impact fee program in place is discussed at those meetings to determine how to deal with these projects. So I would just warn anybody that's evaluating the program, understand all ripple effects of this as it's currently been expressed to developers that are in mid-stride and PennDOT and other agencies that are making decisions relative to transportation impact fee program and offsite impacts of and maybe a final note on the specifics related to a project. I think there was statements made regarding the one project that I'm not adding employees. I'm not, I'm basically doing the same thing I did. There has to be a total evaluation of the total impact of a project. In that one specific case, there is an existing commercial building which is not being removed, which will have capacity and will be offered to somebody else. And as long as that building is occupied in a similar manner, similar use, they do not pay any transportation impact fee. So in that case, the new building is essentially a net increase for its square footage. And that's why it was handled that way. So if it's described as there's no increase, there's a totally different building that may be similar to the prior one, but the prior one doesn't go away. There was a residential structure that is removed and credit will be provided. So
So Brett, let me add a couple of things there, okay? Just so the public has a clear understanding of where TIF is, traffic impact. Right now, there's approximately $805,482 in that fund, rounded off. It's roughly $800,000. That's in that traffic impact fee fund. Okay? That
Can I correct you? That was the total amount collected.
collected.
There's been some of that used for, I think, Church Street intersection. Like, currently, the balance is like 735.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Yep, you're right, Jeff. So so the total collected was just about 800.
Yes.
Now there's a balance there with
735.
735.
Yep.
That money was collected over a decade. Okay, so the other side of this discussion, Brett, is also that for a decade, that money's been, in some cases, for a decade, that money's been sitting there. And there's no trophy project in which that money was used or utilized. So we're collecting funds in the spirit of what it was intended to be used for. Are we violating the spirit of what the intent was actually designed for? So those are some of the questions that are going to come up. So we're collecting that money. And there's no plans on the books currently. There's no list that we have found. No specific list of which projects are going to be done, where they're going to be done, and when they're going to be done. Yes, Doug.
I don't want to drag this on, but just to expound on what you said, RC, this board has identified an issue. And you have the money. You just said you have $700,000. Why don't you use that money to go out and acquire the properties on the effortless side of the 272 Church Street intersection? Because this echoes in my head. I can hear all of you talking about we need to change that intersection out there, but you just talk about it. You just said you have $700,000. You can go out and strike a deal with those owners or owner of the properties, widen that intersection, and then do what you want to do, which is make the intersection more palatable, right hand coming out of Denver, left hand coming out of Denver, instead of 2 lanes, make it a 3 lane. You have the money. You certainly can't pay for all of it, but you can get it started. But to sit here and say we don't have a list is wrong. You do have.
Well, let me tell Doug, let me tell you where the challenges are with that intersection.
I know what they are.
This funding, we can't use the full 700,000 for that intersection.
That's what
So-
I said, you don't have it all.
We don't have it all. So let's round it off, Brett. That's $1 million intersection. So if we can more or less apply $400,000, there's still a balance, a significant balance for the intersection. That significant balance for that intersection, we can't start an intersection and not have the funding in place to complete the intersection. Because then, personally, it could end up being a project like Route 222 going up into Allentown. They do that. The road to nowhere, they do portions of it and they never complete it. So portions of that money is there, completely agree with you. But what I'm saying is I haven't seen a plan that states specifically Church Street, here's the scope of the work, here's the analysis for how much that's going to cost, here's the scope of the cost for timeline for when it's going to be completed, and more or less, when we apply the TIF to it, what's the balance of the funds to complete the project, and over what time frame is that project going to be completed?
And I understand all that, but the longer you put it off, the higher the cost is going to get. Nothing goes down.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
You have another venue available as a township entity. You have another available venue to acquire that land. And I won't get into detail in public with that right now, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Right, and my intent only, Doug, you understand fully, is exactly what we're doing right now. It's that positive discussion of there's a lot of complexities to this whole situation. a lot of complexities.
And
Yes.
there was a list. There was a list. It's just that the time
Yeah.
frame is run out.
Okay,
But on the TIS.
No, I don't think we have any concerns or anything. The team met this morning to talk through the stuff for the Direct 835 and the payers that are going through change. So we met with Lisa, and then we do plan to have Lisa and Gwen on the call Friday.
Now, on the,
So I think we're in good shape.
Capital improvement
And
project.
I don't think Anita's or anything
For the
outstanding that you want to
TIS
bring up. I think everything's
identified
working
for
well.
what zone. Because I've been on that committee for 2 years and I'm still waiting to see that spreadsheet.
we do not, I have not seen that.
I have no idea why we never had that spreadsheet.
Okay, so you're,
What money to what zone?
okay, so you're bringing up an excellent point. Here's where we're gonna start assigning action items to individuals. Okay, Tony, please take the action item. That for the next meeting, great point.
Well,
Thank you.
Tomorrow, because I thought we were going to talk about it tomorrow, but I also had a note on
Exactly,
mine.
because
I
you don't know
wasn't 100% sure, but I thought I'll just have her join. That way, if there's anything that comes up, she should really be on it probably moving forward, just in case,
So
since the Direct 835 does
please take that action item.
involve her.
Those
So I
funds
added
that
her to
are
the
what
meeting
geographic
for this
areas
Friday
is
and
supposed to be used for, and that's what that is.
It was supposed to be looking done. And then Elizabeth passed. And then after that.
But
I don't know if they didn't hand it off to anyone else, but
Well, that's why the team is here, Tony will take that from there, okay?
great, thanks.
Any other
Agreed.
questions,
Thank
or comments? Okay, right.
I would point out that when somebody says that there aren't identified projects, that the process to develop the transportation impact fee and justify it as a viable program consistent with the regulations and legislation are to have a land use assumption to project development and evaluate current development. And an evaluation of the roadway capacity, roadway sufficiency analysis to indicate where does the roadway break down, and then a capital improvement plan. So there is a capital improvement plan that was developed by the transportation consultants. It does show pictures of each intersection being considered as a project, does show the improvements, and does have an Excel sheet indicating the projected cost for engineering, utility relocation, intersection design, etc. It is tabulated. That information exists and is available, I think, even on the town's website.
Tony, can you summarize that?
And so those images do show, say, the intersection of Hill Road and the intersection of Church Street. And it does state that there are limitations when you're dealing with a state road, that you can only use a certain percentage of traffic impact fee program dollars, 50%. So with any program that is projecting forward, it does need to be monitored. It does need to be updated. The certain improvements may be completed by developers for other reasons. And eventually, the timeline for projects, the cost, all that. So those costs are projected forward. And as Susan said there, some of those deadlines or timelines may not be realistic, but also not all dollars collected in the program have strings attached to them. Some have been relieved of those requirements and can be spent elsewhere. So part of the tabulation of a spreadsheet identifying the collected fees was confirming which of those dollars have to follow certain standards and which ones are freed up to follow other standards. Very important aspect to understand. And I think the final point was, in terms of my understanding, in terms of large scale projects completed, there was no reference there to Denver Road Bridge. I was under the impression that the township transportation engineer manager said that project had been funded and it was identified as a capital improvement program. It was funded in some ways from the program. So there is one project and the research can confirm that. So
Let me add one, so Tommy, you can pull those together. Let me add one more thing before we move on the agenda. And that is also, Brett, you also know that Mayor Dussel, our auditor, that comes in annually, they have already notified us in the last audit that some of these funds, as long as they've been sitting there and they have not been utilized, they have not been assigned, we're very quickly coming to the deadline where those funds need to be returned anyway. So, you know, again, very complex problem, multiple layers to this onion. And I think the first thing we need to do is, Tony, let's get that over, please. Okay, thanks, Brent.
Let me just add a little bit to you. I think in your summary, Brett, you hit one of my concerns there. But, you know, the changes necessary in Hill Road here. If and when the Black Forest project ever comes to fruition, that's definitely going to be something where we're going to have to look at that realignment there, and we might need to put some money into that at some point. I don't know that developers are going to handle that whole situation for us. Anybody that travels Hill Road here frequently knows, well, with the additional homes in Heather Woods, the intersection out there is a challenge to get in and out of. And, you know, it's my thought that that realignment needs to happen there. I want to make sure that we're ready for it when the time comes. So I thought you put the perfect example.
Well, and the reason I put it out there is you're gonna have to probably have a representative, typically be the manager, attending a PennDOT scoping discussion, which the request came out from PennDOT yesterday to schedule that. And that discussion, there will need to be, the goal is to help this developer accommodate what he's proposing. There needs to be clarification from the township, clear guidance as to what is the position of the township relative to this project, relative to the transportation impact fee program, and the alteration of the CIP as part of their project. And, you know, as a consultant, my concern is if there's disarray or confusion, it's a problem. And it's not easy being part of meetings where clear understanding of boundaries, projections, and actions aren't understood. So you'll have to advise whoever's going to be at that meeting, which is going to come relatively quick, how to respond to those discussions.
Understood. Okay. Anything else for Brett? Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We're going to change the schedule a little bit because Eddie is here.
I think the rec board has some presentations.
Yeah, you're under a time constraint.
I appreciate that.
And I think Tara is on, so she may unmute and have some comments too.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Floor is yours.
Yeah, awesome. So the Park and Rec Board had a meeting. It was today's what, Thursday? Tuesday. So and so we had a discussion on really 4 points. One being the skate park. We were able to get Army Concrete to provide the information regarding runoff to Kent. Is that correct? Did you receive an email?
Yeah, I did receive an email.
Okay, that was pretty much the only thing that was essentially holding up the motion to move forward with the project. Based on your evaluation of the schematics that are put together, do you have questions, comments?
It'll have to be either Casey or Brent that evaluates the stormwater aspect of that. It's an engineering issue, really.
Are they available? Are they here today?
He just left.
We just left, Brent. Can you call back there?
I have a petition here with 7 signatures from local homeowners where the skate park is proposed and they do not want it there. I have spoken with several of them and they suggested, why don't you put it across from the swimming pool where those trees were recently cut down and near the water and sewer building instead of next to the basketball court. We'd like to see the petition.
Could you leave one with Lisa so Lisa can make a copy?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So, can I speak to that?
Absolutely.
So, your name, please?
Anne Marie Eckert.
Okay, Henry, thank you. So we've been holding meetings since January 1st, consistently, Park and Rec, Supervisor, Board Committee. We've been talking about this for quite some time. We sent out a survey to local residents. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that survey or not. It was 240 some.
No, everyone I spoke with on Church Street, no one even knew about this.
It's been advertised. There's been plenty of advertisement about the whole skate park. And going back to what I was going to allude to in the beginning is that we had sent out a survey for 240 some local residents, Carriage Hill, Ridge Road, and also all the members of the park team, the swimming team, or the community pool who has a membership there. And through
But
this,
no one on Church Street, the people that it would impact.
Sorry, this is Tara Berkinger. It did go to Church Street, and I believe there was another road, maybe Reevestown. I can go back in the minutes and look, but it did go to those additional homeowners.
We never received one. We were there for 30 years, and we either have any of our neighbors that I speak with. And I have questions with where these skate people are going to park their cars. They're going to use the church parking lot.
I think there may
Parking
be,
lot.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I think there may be a misunderstanding. The skate park is going on the opposite side of the creek from the Reamstown Park in the pool area.
Yep.
That's not where the markers is.
We got it.
The markers are down beside the basketball court, right, in my backyard.
This is
That's where
the,
the markers
are
are.
these the basketball courts near the pool?
It's the marker, it's
It's
my
clearly
mistake.
there.
It's the Reamstown Memorial Parks basketball court.
Pool.
Right.
It's not beside the
That's
pool.
where it is, there's a marker between there, between the parking lot and the basketball.
Yeah,
So-
in my backyard.
So,
Yes.
so the church, they wouldn't be using that parking lot. It would be a parking lot that would be coming off of Church Road. That's where people park for the Reamstown facilities.
No, they don't. They park in the church parking lot. I live there and outside every day. The people that play basketball use the church.
Okay, that's.
Why can't you move it up beside the pool where there's no homes involved? That's what my big question is. Put it up there beside the water and sewer building and the pool, so it will be more supervised and watched. Where it's proposed is hidden.
Okay, so what do you do? So,
And there's parking there at the pool.
so what are your overall concerns? I just want to understand, other than the fact that you apparently didn't receive a survey. What are the concerns that you have concerned with park, other than parking and the situation with parking and not receiving a survey?
Well, can I address that question? Because I could not figure out where this was, so we went down to one. And you're gonna have to remove trees to get it this correct.
That was my understanding. We're building around the trees.
You're building it around the trees. Well, that's gonna put a lot of dirt on the trees. Trees are very dirty. I felt it was very stuck in there. And I was wondering, how are you gonna have adequate parking for pool people and these people? And yes, residential, it is in her backyard, close to the residential area, compared to the Denver Park. The Denver Park unit sits all by itself. I mean, it's absolutely stunning the way it sits out there in no man's land. That is not the case here. I have a question. Did you ever consider, because this is not a Reamstown function, correct? This is a East Cocalico Township.
Correct.
It's not,
Oh,
what are you guys doing with all your extra land over here? Why does everything end up in Reamstown? Why don't you put it right here in the middle of East Cocalico Township? Then they can drive in from Reamstown, drive in from Schwartzville, who has, and the police department's right here if there's any problems.
This is Tara. I just
You have
wanted,
all this land use.
Sure, so I get what you're saying.
Or can I talk?
Tara's trying to talk. Go ahead, Tara.
Sorry. Hey, Ann, I just want to add, we did talk about this as far as different locations, because there are various park areas that we could put this in. And one of the main things for Reamstown was because there's a large volume of children neighborhoods that can actually walk to that location. Where if you have it at the township building or, one of the other parks, parents have to drive their kids, which is obviously not very convenient. And so we were trying to get it to a place where, the most amount of community kids would be able to use and access that in an easy way without having to have transportation. So I wanted to talk through that. It was something that we went through lightly. We talked through the various different parks and what seemed to make the most sense so that the kids in the community could get the most use out of it. And I also wanted to let you know that I did send a quick message to Arment Concrete, and those stakes that you see, that's not where the skate park's going. He was just putting reference points so that he could build his the specs that he had to do for the water runoff. So even though the stakes might look close to your home, that's not actually where the skate park will be. It wouldn't be against your yard. He was just trying to create some reference points as he was measuring to put that document together for the engineer.
Well, what would be the big problem with putting it beside the water and sewer building and the swimming pool in that big area where they recently cut down 12 trees? That would be a perfect place for it. They can skate and then go to the pool, cool off. And who's gonna police these children? On Monday night, I drove to my grandson's baseball practice, and there were 6 skateboarders, and I know they were skateboarders because they were carrying them coming from the Denver skate park in the middle of the road, and I'm trying to go up the road, and they yelled, "F you, old lady, get out of the road."
I think,
Now we're gonna deal with that.
I think you need to understand that this is not a formal skate park like Denver's, but there aren't very many issues there. And to equate some kids on a skate park or on a skateboard riding through town, saying those things to somebody doesn't equate to what occurs at the skate park. It's a different atmosphere. A lot of times they're supervised when they have the I can't remember the group's name, I apologize, that the Arments and others have formed, but I think that's a perception that I don't see as the chief of police, that these areas bring that problem. And since this is a scooter / bike / skate, beginning to skate park, I think you would have a different demographic there in reference to it, so.
Are the police going to respond when they're called? There is the basketball court, there's quite a bit of drug dealing that goes on in that church parking lot, and loud music that I can hear inside of my house. And I
Well,
call
when that
police.
occurs, we need to be notified, and obviously we
Are they
would
going to
respond.
come?
Well, sure we would, absolutely, 100%. We would always come to something like that. We go to every call for service we get. We just need to be notified of that stuff going on, so we can stop it from happening.
Let me propose a possible solution for right now. Okay, Tony, I think we can go out there, chalk out with surveying chalk exactly geographically where this is proposed to be placed. Okay,
I think the right thing to do would get the contractor Arment, who has the plans, meet with them. out
meet
on
with
site.
them, get out there, have them chalk it out.
Correct.
Multiple photos of the chalked area.
Right.
Okay, take some measurements out there, geographic measurements in terms of how close to property lines, whatever you think the reference points are the important reference points
Right.
in taking those measurements.
A visual would help.
Okay,
A visual.
so then we have a visual to look at that and discuss it.
Can I make a point on this? So
Sure.
You guys have been here for, you've been here every day, right? You're here all the time, comments, concerns, you guys provide a lot of insight to what we've got in the community. Why did you bring these issues up prior to?
I just went to look at I don't have children at home anymore, so I just went to look at it.
I understand, I think it's a good idea. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
yeah,
We're not
we're all
against it,
for it.
we're not against it.
I'm not saying that you are.
No, but we just, if you're gonna go to the effort, I think you just need to make sure that it's done in the correct manner.
That's the right place.
That's the right place, and I'm not suggesting the Ridgetown Park isn't the right place, but let's start thinking a little, not you personally, let's all start thinking a little bit broader, because
Correct, board has to do that.
somebody has to do it.
There's 7 or 8 public playgrounds on that side of the township, south of the turnpike, and there's only 2 in north, and there's probably as many kids, if not more, on this side of the turnpike than that side. So I understand what you're saying. I'm okay with it, this way, almost want to put a skate park in, but let's think about it. I mean, or even if you put the skate park in, the 200 whatever letters you sent out surveys, around the 200 some people paying for it. No, the other 18,000 residents have to pay for it. Okay, so if you're gonna spend 20,000 there, why not go and put playgrounds in all around the township first and make it so other kids have, you know, ability to go play, so they don't have to walk.
I always travel.
Yeah,
So I hear what you're saying. This is the first time that I've actually seen you, like, we have parking rec board meetings all the time.
Yeah,
We-
Tuesday nights,
one second.
they're on Tuesday nights, I'm the fire chief in the township, so I don't have, I'm not available.
Gentlemen,
Listen, if you want to make recommendations and things that you want done in your community, we don't have a problem looking at it and evaluating it, including plans together, because this is what the parking rec board does. I understand that you have time restraints because it's Tuesday. We listen to everybody. We want to make sure that all
You're
your
not.
children.
You're not listening to them right now.
gentlemen, you make me do this up. Okay. Chance.
I would like to say, as a resident who grew up on this side of the township, there is virtually no recreation. If I wanted to go swimming, it was closer for me to go to the Denver pool than it was to the Reamstown pool. If I wanted to go to the park, it was closer for me to go to the Denver park than it was the Reamstown park. So I totally get what is being said here with everything being centralized in one area in Reamstown. The people from Morganshire, Old Homestead, Quail Hollow, Rose Hill, they all have no access really to anything other than driving the whole way to Reamstown. So as as someone who grew up in this area, I would say that we should consider different locations. I mean, I know there's wide open area in Old Homestead. That would be probably even less problematic
The whole point
to
that,
put it in.
the whole point that I was-
Thank you for your thoughts.
the whole point that I was trying to make is that I'm not talking over him, but we've been talking about this since January. Okay, and now all of a sudden there's an issue. Hold on a second. No, I'm making a point. We've had multiple discussions about this. It's come up multiple times. It's been progressing through. I don't mind putting this on hold and going through the process and all that. I think that's wise, and I think everyone's being in agreement with this. But at the same time, why now? Why not bring it up earlier while we're in this?
Because people are just now learning about it.
This, yes, is their first live meeting.
So let me,
If we don't have Zoom.
okay, here's the best middle ground I
That's fine.
propose at this time.
That's fine.
Okay? Tony's gonna take the action item.
I just want to make one statement though. Take into consideration this central location and the link and keep in mind, and I'm sure all these guys and I as a parent can say, we all drove to Zins Park when our kids were growing up.
So,
And it wasn't an issue driving to Zins Park.
and those are excellent points and comments, so here's what we're gonna do. Eddie, I think, and Tara, I think what we should be doing is, let's get, again, a survey and chalk marks out there for exactly where the current proposal is. Okay? Eddie, let's get that out there, get it on our website so the community can take a look at
That's great. I think it's
Okay.
great.
it. So you have,
Put the design on there too.
put the design on there, so that, and all of that.
And
okay?
now I'm free to print that out and hand it to the community.
Yes, ma'am, because it'll be on the website, it's public information for everyone to take a look at. Let's take a look at that. Eddie, the other thing I would ask is, I know you guys have got a ton of work in this, but I would just ask you to consider some of the other points related to, we have this property here. And you can talk to Tony later in terms of what was the original intent of all this property and what was it gonna be used for, because I know this was, Doug, if I remember correctly, from when you told me the stories, it was donated to us way back when, right?
Who's in?
And it was intended for some kind of community use, whatever was decided there. Okay? So is it feasible? Is it possible? To possibly look here also?
I
Just a
listen, I understand what you're saying, and I just wish that all this stuff had been brought up beforehand, because, you know, we're working with Army Concrete, who's devoted a lot of time, effort, energy, and resources to this project already. Again, since January, we've been talking about this, speaking about it. Unfortunately, we haven't had live meetings, but they have been posted online. There's been minutes that have been posted online. And just to bring these issues and problems now, as we're like basically the final stages of the improvement process, is pretty frustrating. So from that perspective, I also understand what you guys are saying as far as, you know, developing more parks and recreation for other areas and other parts of the community. Again, if there are certain areas and properties that you would like to see developed, or think that they should be developed for your kids and for children and communities, ADA, wherever the case may be, we're all open for it. If you care about your community and care about certain parts of your community, then you need to make those apparent to us and address them to us. And so, like, I get where your frustration is, and I get where I don't know what your frustration is. But like, at the end of the day, you know, if you bring that information over to us, we're very reasonable people, and we want, at the end of the day, the reason why I'm doing this is a volunteer board. I volunteered like at least 20 hours a week over the last like 3 or 4 months, trying to get this stuff together for the community. Okay, and it's not a paid position. All right.
No, wait, you're getting this.
All right, so let's.
It's not going to wait. They're just.
What I'm saying to you is that.
Just location,
So
that's
the
it.
last thing I want to point out is that we're open to suggestions, and we're willing to work with the community, because communities first. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. Okay. So please bring your comments and questions and ideas. We'll consider them, and we want that to be part of the community.
So what I was gonna say is we've got Brett tied up here in the clock's running. So was there anything you needed from Brett for now, considering what we're talking about doing now? I don't think so, right, Eddie?
I guess not.
Have you looked at that sketch?
I have not. Casey received, are you talking about the
Right.
email that Casey received with information? No,
Yes.
I have not personally looked at it. I imagine Casey has started to look at it relative to how the stormwater aspect were being addressed. Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as stated previously by Casey, it's not a large amount of impervious area. There's ways to address it through the small project process, if that's the approach, and as long as there's adequate volume provided. So I guess regardless of where the final location is, the final configuration. So we'll be glad to work with people as that evolves, or wherever it ends up, to try to clarify those requirements. We'll certainly expedite any reviews too.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks for coming back.
I was waiting to make a left turn up on Hill Road anyway.
Had to throw that in here. Thanks, Brett.
The next part of the Park and Rec Board discussed is the resurfacing of the basketball court, the Williamstown Pool basketball court. This has been on the agenda since January as well. We have finally had a few quotes that we must present to the board supervisors concerning the pricing and the process. After looking over 3 of the quotes, we as a board, as a board, made a recommendation for Lyons and Hall to move forward. Not only were they the most affordable, they were also basically individuals that came out first, and we feel that they would do an excellent job. The other 2 were J.W. Sealant, and then the other one was Marcus Paving. So Marcus Paving is a little bit more of a they're looking to add more asphalt and add more stone, which is then going to create issues with the height of the basketball courts. So that wasn't really a good solution for us. And then JW coating, sealing, they were the same price as Martin's, offering essentially the same thing. Not with the additional elevation of asphalt and stone. So we felt that based on reputation, based on pricing, and based on their service agreement, essentially to, if anything happens, they would come out and fix it. And so on and so forth, as they promised that they would. It's not written in contract, but after talking to other individuals who and references, they had nothing but great comments, and they felt they did a standard job.
Okay, so Eddie, just for clarification's sake, and this is where you as a board, we're entrusting you as the board, because you're looking at this all the time. So your board is comfortable with proposal number 2 for the basketball court. That's what you're saying?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so that is proposal number 2 with Lyons and Hall paving, and that amount is $27,876.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why it was $10,000 over budget, because we budgeted for 17, was because we thought we could just put like a Band-Aid on top of it, because it had destroyed the services, and we could probably done in order for it to be an actual investment.
Okay, and these are rec fund dollars.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there was a question hanging in the past whether the road crew could get involved in the preparation work. Had you got an answer on that, or?
Right, so I did talk with Brett about it, and he basically said that it may be difficult to, because they'll do all of the excavated, but then they weren't comfortable putting the stone in, so the excavation part would only be like a few $1,000s, and it would just be worth the squeeze, getting the truck, getting the haul out, paying for the disposal of the asphalt. I don't know, but I know that you know, based on what Brett was telling me, that this is a really good price. And in fact, that if we want to make sure that we try to get this done before the pool opens, we probably wouldn't want to move on this as quick as possible.
See, here's the concern I have, if that's a different one, Jeff. Right now, the road crew has stepped up and they're getting the pool ready because we're trying to open that pool on time this year.
Right.
Okay. We're dealing with some chemical licensure issues there that we're trying to get wrapped up. And my concern about, it's a great point. My only concern that I have about that is they've got their hands full right now with the extra items for the pool.
Yeah, on the quote, it's like $4,900 and some dollars to just take the old cord out. And, you know, there would be some trucking away and disposal of that. But that would drop the price significantly. They could do that, have the equipment.
Yeah.
It's just a manpower issue more.
And all 4 of those road crew members have experience with the basketball court excavation. So, I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
So I again, I know that the road crews stretch pretty thin, and you know, so I agree with you because I'm always looking to save money as well where we can. But I feel that if we don't necessarily depending on the road crew schedule, that this project will be delayed, and I prefer. I think it would be a much better community experience if you can get this part of the project, because it's project done before the road opens, because it's really going to create a lot of chaos and problems up there, especially with parking.
And you're lucky with less than 2 months before pool opening, so I get your point. Time is kind of the essence
Right now, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, good points.
If I may, after sitting through the rec board meeting, I checked with Judy in reference to the balance in the rec fund. Because this was over budget, I figured everyone would want to know. There's $273,055 currently in the rec fund. So I just wanted to make everybody aware there is that money actually in the fund. I'm not saying you go spend it all, informing it.
Yeah, that wasn't all budget this year.
No, it was very little, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
It was, that wasn't even like 5% of the budget, which is 5% of the budget.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so you're looking for a motion.
I'm looking for a motion to approve lines and laws, so that we can bring a video out to them, and so we can start scheduling this to start working on the project.
Okay. So, Jeff, I will make a motion that we authorize the rec board to go with Lyons and Hall paving for a price not, Eddie, I'm gonna add in there, not to exceed $27,876 for the asphalt paving of the basketball courts. Do I have a second?
I was just looking to make sure there's no disclaimer in there where that would be a problem. If there's any.
The only way that it would go over is based on the price of asphalt. So asphalt does fluctuate as the market does. So unfortunately, depending on that would be the only issue that I would see.
But in the time frame you guys are looking at, this should be this price should be pretty well fixed.
We put that disclaimer to it that it can't go over. If all of a sudden they come back with another picture on that.
I would ask if there should be a little bit of wiggle room for that, just because.
So you want to remove the anti, then I'll remove the not to exceed price.
I'm just saying that could hold it up.
Okay.
We've seen surprises before when there's that kind of fluctuation in the contract.
So I'll amend that to remove the not to exceed price.
And I'll be all over it. I'm not gonna, it's not, we're gonna, obviously contract with those.
Okay.
That exception.
Well, it's got the roadmaster thing on there to be accountable for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you will coordinate this.
Right.
Yep, I will, right.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, just as long as it's not surprise.
Nope.
So understood. Then I'll second that motion. Amended motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, guys. The next part of the document agenda is that looking at the swing point park, we have been able to work with the local co-stars through the Pennsylvania a preferred vendor, and which they offer substantial discounts and really that's been really great. We were able to, on the Park and Rec Board Committee, make two recommendations. I don't know if you received an email from Lisa or not this morning, or you last night. We have one from BYO, and we also have one from Playworld. Do you have both?
I did not.
No. So you probably have BYO and probably you're seeing Playworld.
Yeah, we have to do one.
Yeah, I didn't see the other one.
What I can do is, if it would be all right, I can hook up my computer to up here and then the information if you would like, if it's possible.
Sure.
So the first discussion that I want to bring to attention would be BYO. These guys have been very responsive, really great company, really great references and recommendations that we made. We decided to present, again, BYO project to you guys. I believe that you have a 3D rendering of the project.
Yes.
You also should have an updated price list totaling $68,000 with installment.
Do you have? You are not going to be able to do that in house. Have a memory stick.
Thanks.
Yeah, you have a memory stick on you, do you?
A flash drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy.
So as we discussed regarding BYO and the Play World, what we wanted to do is incorporate, take the learnings from the community build project that we show. Yeah, thank you. Apologize. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to take the recommendations, desires of the children of neighboring schools and community, Jamestown, and a bunch of others, other Mennonite schools were part of that initial push, so that we understood what the children wanted. what kind of equipment they like, enjoy playing on, and so on and so forth. So as you know, that the community build project was delayed or shelved for now. So what we want to do is we want to use that market research that we paid for and apply the same type of ideas to basically essentially build as much of that in this park as possible, meeting as many of the desires of the children. So with that being said, the BYO, I thought that was, if you want to speak to it, Eli.
No, go ahead. That'd be fine.
That really, they like the climbing aspect, they like the whole Ninja Warrior type of thing, they wanted to, they like the rope and the slides, obviously, the monkey bars type of stuff. And also they wanted swings. So what we try to do, is incorporate all those ideas. We added a climbing wall, a 3-tier climbing wall, which is really nice. There's 4 swings there, so they call it 2-tier. And they're cylinder, so we decided to go with the 3.5 versus the 5 because it was less expensive, but also this is in a inner city park, so we don't see like kids climbing on it and stuff like that. I think the inner city do that, but it's just the equipment's used much harder than it would be in our local community. With that being said, there's also like a balance beam, and there's also like steps for them to like kind of get their balance and kind of like the Ninja Warrior type of thing, because it literally heard Ninja Warrior over and over and over and over and over again. So what we also want to do is in light of keeping the chips and the padding for the actual equipment, we wanted to make sure that we were keeping those chips inside, so we didn't get all over the place from a aesthetic pleasing standpoint, right? We're trying to keep it as tightly as possible. So that's where some additional costs come in. So I thought I thought they did a really good job of putting out that 3D rendering. I was pretty impressed by their response, and because this is through CoStars, there's no bidding that's needed, which is great. We wanted to propose this project along with the other one, which I'm putting in right now. I apologize for the delay. But yeah, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm having my computer slow for whatever reason. I don't know why. Do you have the internet that you can maybe send to everybody?
I'm trying to bring up the PDF. and it's
Because
not
I'm
working.
trying to, I asked for the internet, it's unfortunately really slow.
Yeah, I think there's so many things on it that.
Yeah, our Wi-Fi was pretty slow now and everything.
Yeah.
I have no doubt you're gonna get followed up.
But the other,
If there's something you want to show, put it on the flash drive and I can
Yeah.
run it on the
computer,
wall.
for whatever reason,
it's not, it probably doesn't have connection, but
So,
that's the one you're talking about, the third one.
yeah, and I can pass, you might if I use your
No.
phone to pass it around to everybody, I apologize. That's kind of what it looks like.
You could probably go and stand in front of the camera with it.
There you go. This is what the second part looks like.
Eddie, Try, Eddie, try holding it near the put it in the camera there, see if you can put it on the big screen.
And there's also like a spinning thing where kids really enjoy it, but it's got like the safety. It's like 5 to 10 kids can go in and spin around.
Yeah, put the camera
Look behind.
and monitor it there so people in the audience can see it.
No, sorry, it's not easy.
No.
There you go. Okay.
So. Thank you, Chief.
Absolutely.
So we were able to get some additional figures because one thing made both quotes comparable. So this morning we were able to see what it would cost for the engineered fiber, the fabric, the wear mats, excavation if needed, and the 12 feet border timbers. So it's an additional $12,000 on top of the initial one. That's for the second building. Personally, we feel that the first through BYO would be the best option for the community. based on pricing and also because of just meeting all the features that the children wanted. Really, it's up to you, obviously, the board to make a motion to approve this. And the reason why I'm asking this and why we have emergency meetings, that there's going to get steel tax implemented today, April 1st. And so we are able to, that's what they said. And so basically the pricing has been extended through April 6th. And so basically I was able to get an extension on it, knowing that we had a meeting today. So once that extension goes, we're gonna have an increase in all steel. And on top of that, the $14,000 discount that we're getting right now, just for that one big piece on that 3D registering is going away. So we can't get that extended. So that's where while the team, the working group and the park and rec board has been working diligently to try to get everything together. We've got to stay for make a motion for that.
So that's why time is of the essence. The steel tax goes in.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why we've been working tirelessly to get this done.
Maybe you could just take a second and address the fact of why the history there.
Sure.
So why that location was picked and
Yes.
what part of the park there that was decided upon.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jeff, I appreciate it. So the reason why that this particular area was chosen was the residents were promised through the builder to have a park built there. So it was the first wave of builders, and so unfortunately, the builders didn't. And then basically the second wave that came through in Central Park, they were promised a park. And so basically they was very much misled, and a lot of the residents and local residents were pretty upset about it because of the fact that there was no park being built by the builder. The builder sent about $100,000 of funds aside for a playground to be built in that location. And so 3 years ago or 2 years ago, we were looking to do a community build project. I'm sure everyone heard about it. There was some people would like that idea, some people didn't like the idea. The residents really didn't like the idea because of the amount of volume of cars that would be brought into that area, understandably so. And so what we decided to do was we decided to still continue to work with Leathers, but we used a lot of those funds to essentially to get everything going, because we had Reachtown Elementary School involved, we had a lot of local schools involved, we had a lot of community. And so this has been the third push for getting a park in that area. And so basically what we're trying to accomplish here is just to, for community, that specific community, to have a small park. And the park is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not, but it used to be an old soccer field. And so basically there's been some additions made where there's what we're going to call a track around there, some park benches. There's a couple Eagle Scout projects like a soccer kickball. I got a ball pit that's been put in there, but just recently, and there's a soccer net on the not. And so what we're looking to do with this piece of property is basically, you can see it, if you want to share it. I don't know if everyone wants to see it or not, but basically it is essentially like 1/4 of the actual land that's in the acres. So basically it's going to be inside where that not asphalt, but that stone walkway is, and it's basically essentially going to hide away from that. So there's a lot of different facilities we have to explore for that community.
So the money for this is coming out of that money that the developer gave?
Was that, yes?
Okay.
Which goes into the general fund, yes.
Okay, so I just wanted, I added this number, it's $70,000, roughly $70,000, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was also a $23,000 donation, that was also.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to check, it's, I know $20,000 state on raising lines here, I know people over this way found out they're helping to fund a $70,000 project over there, I think it can really get some people lined up, so I just wanted, that's why I called it, I knew the money was, I just wanted to make sure it's clear on that.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate you bringing that up. Like I said, there hasn't been much movement with the Park and Rec Board in Cocalico Township for quite some time. I think that breaking this and being able to like break the trend of not having done much, I think getting the momentum and saying, okay, we got this project through, let's get to the next project, let's continue to build our community. So I'm thinking that, and that's the reason why we're proposing this. It's been a 3 to 4 year process. And so that's the reason why we're focusing specifically on that area.
Yeah, to Eddie's point there, this has been studied to death. I mean, they've talked about the placing in this park, where's the best location for this, and this has been talked about for years. And if the funds have been there, there's been developer funds there, donations. You know, it's time to move forward.
Part of that property is done with the also.
Yes, so it's time to move forward with something and stop talking about.
This location will also serve the residents of East Cocalico Heights, which most of the people there do not, I'm assuming, because of the lack of sidewalks and the traffic on East Church Street, are not going to allow their children to ride their bikes down to the Reamstown area, the park, pool, that type of thing. So it's going to serve more than just Stony Point, with that connection of those two developments.
And it is a public park. There is parking there on the stone lot. So it's open to anybody.
Absolutely.
In that respect. So it is a township park that way. So, yeah, I think it's time to move forward.
Agreed.
Any other questions out there? Or?
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the BYO proposal.
And I will second that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Comments, questions? We had one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you for your work.
You're welcome.
Eddie, can I ask you for an action item if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Sure.
I will too.
Can you circle back with Lisa here in the office?
Yep.
Just so Lisa can then put that in our news tab on our website with all the renderings and schematics that are there for that park, so people see exactly what's there. She has it here in the packet. It's the packet I just passed around. Okay, so she puts all that information out there. I think it'd be great. And by all means, please let the rec board know. We're very, very appreciative of the amount of work you guys put into this and how quickly you're turning it over.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We, in the past, the rec board has had travel day, I guess, where you go and look at all the different township parks. And for recommendation purposes, what you see needs to be done or an evaluation process. We have a proposal for True Green here for treating the parks, fertilizer, lawn. And I think it's, from my understanding, it's all natural ingredients and all that. The different parks there, if they're treated, I would think that would come out of their rec fund. So would it be possible for you and your committee to form there that you could make that for our next meeting, give us a recommendation? We can give you a copy of the
That's the true thing.
of the proposal there that you can decide from your observations what you think needs to be done out there.
Okay.
Because it's a substantial amount of money.
That is.
Whether you want to see that done or not, I would appreciate the recommendation from you and the board on that.
Cool. Absolutely. I love grass. So.
We just got a secondary proposal this morning as well. Lisa can give you a copy of that.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
That you can take that and handle it. That would be helpful to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to do that. And when do you need a response by? Because our next Park and Rec board meeting is, I think, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, we are too. That probably, we should have an answer by then so that we can move forward. Springs.
Oh, of course. I understand.
And like I said, in the past, on a Saturday morning or something, everybody would meet at one park and then go to the next one. And just have an evaluation process there. If you can get a quorum to do that would be the best way, because then you're all there looking at the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, I like that idea. I actually talked with Brett about it because I really want to understand. I mean, I see the East Cocalico Township zoning map here, but a map versus actually going around and looking at all the properties and looking at communities is much different.
Yeah.
And I spoke to him about that. I want to see, I want to know, I want to get some ideas, hear from the community. So I think it would knock out two birds with one stone, be able to, work on this and then also take some notes, photos and so on and so forth, so that way I have it in my own,
Sure.
so I get that.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Do I need to make a recommendation to do that, or like, what is the process on that?
It would probably be good if we're spending money there, we have a proposal in front of us. If the lawn needs treated out there, it's a good feedback from you.
Okay, well, I guess my question is, do I need to make do we need to make a motion in order for all of us to go out, or can we just like?
No.
No, it's chairman of the board, you can create a
Okay, so just reach out to the board
an
members.
informational visit.
Informational. Got it.
Correct.
Okay, and then would I be able to like maybe use Brett's time to show me around? 'Cause I mean, I would like, I don't know the ins and outs of this.
You don't know where they all are.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I need someone.
He needs a roadmap.
Tony, we need to run that. Or maybe you can run
You
it.
and I? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that suggestion. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay,
All right, so the next thing that we have on the list, and again, I'm sorry for taking so much. So yeah, so much, well, there's a lot of things that are popping up, so the last thing on the list is the pool. So basically, I was able to attend the Denver Borough the Denver Borough Board of Supervisors meeting on Monday. So I had a chance to talk with Mike and meet all of the various council members. They're in the process of essentially finalizing their pricing for the 2021. We made a motion on our board to continue with the co-op. We thought it was a really great opportunity to work together with Denver. Seemed to be pretty successful in the past. They did throw out some really good ideas. We had a lot of really great conversation and looking to develop more synergies between them and us. With that being said, I did provide, I believe that you should have a copy of Denver's pricing, as well as our proposed pricing. And I just think it's important that, there's some areas where we're more and there's some areas where they're more. And I think it's important to try to get on the same page with them. Again, I don't know from a cost perspective, but if we're trying to build, as the Park and Rec Board is responsible for the pool committee, we're in the process of also building that as well. So there's a lot of moving pieces with that. I feel like we're at the 12th hour, because pool season's right around the corner. We're trying to accomplish as much as we possibly can for the season. So I have a lot of great ideas for next year, but we're kind of too late for them this year. So I'll shelve those. But what we can focus on are a couple of things. One is the pricing and the co-op with Denver. So I would like to make a motion to continue with that co-op with Denver Park, or Denver Pool. It seemed to be a really, really great way to, again, to work together as a team, as a combined community. And I think that, having options to go to two different pools for one cost is beneficial for the overall community.
I guess for clarity purposes, that's the group pass program where someone can pay an $25 to go to either pool.
Exactly.
And have a pass to go there
Bingo.
on the group rate.
so in essence, there was no change in the pricing there from last year, is what we're saying.
One of the things, if I may, that came up very
Yeah,
quickly
please.
also was making our prices the same as Denver. It might be easier for everybody. The other thing was the possibility of to make it so it's a cooperative effort to also, if the Denver pool is rented out one evening in the summer by an organization, that the people at the Denver pool will be allowed to come to the East Cocalico pool and vice versa. So if there's a swim meet at the East pool, but not at the Denver pool, that the people could go and show their East pass to Denver and be able to go swim. Just opening it up more. Those are some of the thoughts and suggestions.
Right.
The other thing was getting color coded passes instead of the photographs, which I think would help the pool staff and everyone also keep things in line together. Because I think the cooperation, from what Mike Hesher was saying about the chemicals and all that kind of thing, might be a good idea to keep them the same.
Okay.
Might make it easier on a lot of people.
So those are really targeted for next season.
I think we might.
If we're able to still do the color podium this year. I think that would alleviate a lot of issues, problems. I know in the past, I've heard members get the wrong picture with the wrong ID, creating issues and problems. So I'm sure Jeff can probably speak to that better than I. But I'm just trying to look for ways to simplify the process, get some synergy around the area, and
You think from a timeline perspective, you can get that accomplished?
I think that Denver Pool seems to be, and Mike Hessian seems to be very willing to assist and help with that process. I don't mind putting additional time and effort into it to make sure it's.
I can reach out to Mike.
Yeah, we can work on
Reference
this.
to the past.
We can work on it together, Chief. And then on top of that, they also are providing, as you know, we're trying to get our chemical evaluation, looking at it. So I asked them what the process would look like if we were able to use and borrow their services until we got up and running. And they said that they actually reached out to their council. The AG said it was, it's almost, it's the interpretation of the law, right? Is that what it was?
That's what he said.
How it worked, how they would handle it. Essentially, what they're saying is that one person from AG says, well, if a person's certified, then they're the ones that need to be, and anyone else that handles the chemicals that would be under direct supervision. And the other one is, well, you have certification, the person does handle the chemicals, but basically the other people can hit the other people that are sort of staff can handle the chemicals without under supervision. Is that basically what we?
Yeah, I
essentially-
think, and I think if we would utilize, if the cooperation would be allowed by the attorneys and so on and so forth for us to get open in time, to have some of the Denver road members, road crew guys that are certified, come over, help East until our members can be certified. I know one of Brett's concerns was that he doesn't have time to spend 4 hours at the pool.
Right.
According to what Mike Hessian said, he said the individual that would go to the pool in the morning, program to check the chemicals, the program it, spends no more than half an hour unless there's an issue. So I was kind of surprised at that timing. I thought it would have been a lot more. So that's what Mike Hessian brought up. Again, that cooperation between the two seemed to be there.
And they were also willing to provide their SOPs because, you know, just so that we'll give something to work off of. We can make it our own, but I think it's just good to have like a documentation to document something like this would happen, or we need something to fill in. We have our own SOPs, but just they're willing to share that with us. It's public knowledge, he said. So they're in the process of sending it over to me, and once I get it, I'll forward to you guys. But it just seemed like there's been a lot of good stuff between Denver's when that was out, which is awesome.
Just for clarity purposes, when you said if there's a activity one night at one pool, the other people will be able to go to the other pool. Now you're saying that without the group pass idea, or?
That's what was proposed, and of course, that would be something that would be discussed. I know for this year, because of all the changeover that we've experienced in our township, I think we're trying to make this a better experience for everybody. And so, like, for example, if they're having a night swim or something with that, we advertise it. If we're having a night swim, they advertise it. So that way we can generate more awareness and more interest. So that way, you know, more people can be a part of these activities at night. So it's more so I'm trying to create co-ops and community and connection between, you know, our neighbors.
Sure. No problem with that.
So the question now I have is, are the pool rates for Denver, I don't have those here.
I have those.
We sit down with Mike Hessian and come up with a middle ground, because I think
Let's
some
do
are
that
more
first.
expensive for us.
So
some are more
let's do that. Let's
expensive
table
for them.
this one for now. Okay, but
We're not under that deadline.
no, so let's table the pool rates for now.
Perfect.
You guys go back to Mike Hessian, find out from Mike exactly what the proposal is, so we have a comparison on the rates and exactly how we will share individuals going back and forth and the color coding on the badges and what that all costs. Questions, Doug? Yes.
RC, just a question for all of you guys. You talked about, if I understood right, you're talking about someone being able to go from one pool to the other for chemicals and stuff like that. Is that correct? Or did I misunderstand on the question?
That was in the morning.
Yeah, that's one of the
We all
possibilities.
use the same. I mean, there's a big difference between liquid chlorine and
Yes,
and non-liquid
And that's-
chlorine, that, there's a whole.
That's what we'll find out.
Yeah, that's a great point, Doug, and that's what we're trying to find out.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
Thank you.
great point. Yeah. And one of the other things too is we do have some interest from some of the road crew that they want to get certified on the chemical side.
Good.
Okay, so they're interested in doing that also. Because of COVID and everything else going on right now, they're not even sure when those certifications can get done.
Well,
So they're interested.
Dan, the poolman, he's actually has I think a course in like middle of April 14th or 15th, I think that's what it was. So I guess they just need approval or permission, or I don't know how that works in the back end to get that.
So you might want to let Brett know.
He knows.
He knows.
Okay. Yeah, of course, just thousands of emails about that. Okay, great. So just basically individuals go out, understand that better, the color passes. And then the chemicals, obviously. Okay, cool. Okay. And then also, I don't know how to approach this as far as, because with the pool committee needs to make an advertisement in order to make decisions. So I don't know if I need approval from you or motion to like advertise for a pool committee meeting.
You're talking about the working group?
The working group, right, because the working group needs to be advertised.
Lisa can help you with that.
Okay, so I can just work with you on that. Okay.
I think the one other thing, I have to save the money again. I'll think of it as you guys are talking.
There's not
So
enough
we'll do
going
the
on?
pool.
Yeah, thanks for that. It's a great point.
Oh, I know, I apologize. Denver Borough, Mike brought up the fact that Denver Borough, if the swim team members or the swim team members pay for a membership, and therefore if we would, it was talked about in the meeting that we wouldn't ask them for a fee. If the members of the East Cocalico swim team pay for the membership at the pool, that covers that fee that was charged previously.
Which is how they do it.
That's how Denver does it, and he said it works great.
Yeah,
They don't have that issue going back and forth. There's no changing of fees each year, trying to figure out what the fees can be. So that's something to think about, maybe talk about next time.
Yeah, I did hear back from Heather on that. That's one of the things I was going to shelve for next year.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No worries about it. Don't worry about it. But unfortunately, they can't change it right now because all the documentation for the full team has already gone out. So we can't implement that this year, but it's definitely something that I would like to consider for next year.
Okay.
So that, to be clear, that's a fee in lieu of membership?
It's just membership. Yeah, it's a membership fee. So basically, for a single or a family or whatever the case would be, like,
So basically, if there's something member,
you have to get a full membership.
Yeah, full membership.
Yeah. So that offsets that cost, and then there's, it's just, at least the costs are known up front and so on and so forth.
Does that sync up with what a single membership would be for any youth and what our pool rates are?
I haven't looked at that, to be honest with you, and I don't, and I also don't know, what we charge them right now either, so that's something that we need to discuss, but that's why next year, it's for next year, it's not for this year.
Okay. So does that wrap yours up?
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yours was longer than Brett's.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There was a lot on the docket there, and very time.
No, thanks again, thanks for all that.
Yeah, thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank the board for all that.
I will, thank you.
Okay. So moving on, we are to the 2021 roadway project bids, consideration of awards for the road projects. So we received the bids back for two. Engineering has looked at those. They came back, Mike Mouse has looked at them. They came back on March 26th. So one of the things, these are the road bids that we previously specified as contract number 1 and contract number 2. And both of those contracts are out on the website, identifying the maps, let's call them geographic maps of exactly which roads are going to be done in contract 1 and contract 2. Okay, For the public's understanding, put my note out here. So for contract number one, there were 8 bids that were received from 8 separate companies. And those bids ranged from 347K roughly to 484K. Okay. So the low bidder, I will check this.
H&K Group.
Thank you, Jeff. The low bidder was for H&K Group. And that amount for contract one was for $347,620.61. Again, 347,621.61. Okay. So what I would like to do at this point is make a motion to award the 2021 roadway project contract one paving to HK Group Incorporated in the amount of $347,620.61. Do I, any questions from the,
Let me just take a minute to just go over all the bids there, just for sake of the audience. There was 8 bids. The second lowest bid was Pepsi Supply at $355,000, roughly $8,000 more than the low bid. New Enterprise came in at $366,000. Allen Myers, they were the contractor last year. They were higher again at $379,000. Kinsley Construction came in at $409,000. EK Services, $426,000. Brubacher Excavating at $446,000, and this further construction at $484,000. This does include the 2 developments that were identified. I guess this Money Creek Estates is the one, and the other one is Money Creek Village, and the other one is Rose Hill. So that identifies a little bit. That's a complete milling, not just a to the curb milling. That's a complete milling. They're putting fabric down and 2 courses of asphalt. It was determined that there was a little deficiency in some of the road work there previously, and that was their idea. The engineer Mike House to bring it up to current standards. So, if there's any more questions on any of that?
These are the lowest responsible bidders, correct? They met all the bond issues and everything else.
absolutely.
I mean, I would assume that. I didn't want
Well, we're 2, Mike House, we're 2, he handled it all.
to. Thank you.
And I have complete confidence that we're on the right track.
Thank you.
Sure.
Including all insurance requirements, the whole package.
Okay.
I have a question. Is there gonna be a better placement of the height on manhole covers?
That was in bid.
Okay.
It was,
I know,
it was coordinated with the authority there that the proper extensions be.
it's a little disheartening getting bumps on that roof.
And that's where the complete milling, I think. I think we've got that covered.
If Mike wants to say a word.
I was going to say, for the benefit of the board, we did coordinate with the authority. Their specific requirements for manhole risers and adjusting rings were incorporated in the contract. And so my understanding is in previous years, there were some issues there. So we coordinated with them in advance of bidding the project. So they will be invited to the pre-construction meeting so that they can go over their requirements with the successful bidder.
Next question. Thank you.
We'll have to work on that volume in the future.
And then just to add to what Jeff has said, the targeted, the complete construction on the bid proposal in the contract is to have it done by August 31st. completed by August 31st. Okay,
Okay, so there's a motion out there. I'll do a second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, I also no opposed, motion carries. Okay, then we move on to contract number 2. Contract number 2 was by bituminous seal coat. And that is, when we received those bids, there were 2 bidders for that.
Yeah.
Okay. In our bid packet. No, it is. So used to using my computer, printer is foreign. So there were two bidders. One of them was Martin Paving Inc. The other one was Midland Asphalt Materials Incorporated. And Jeff, I'll just tell you what you did. The 2 bids that came in, Martin Paving Incorporated came in at $67,515.65. And Midland Asphalt Materials Incorporated came in at $77,088.80. Okay, so what I would like to do is at this time is make a motion to award the 2021 roadway project known as contract number 2 to bituminous seal coat to Martin Paving Incorporated in the amount of $67,515.65. And again, that contract number 2 reference that we're using, we have that on the website. It has all the roads and it has all the geography laid out, so it's exactly which roads those are. That's the motion.
Yeah, just to add a little more information, these roads are basically on our southern fringe here in the township. Steffi Road, Red Run Road to the township line, Naperville Road, Ponstown Road to Landis Road, Naperville Road, Landis Road, Prideville Road, and Prideville Road to the township line, and that pretty well covers it. They're all kind of commingled down there at the southern end of the township, so.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, motion's up.
We have a motion and I will second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mike, for what you do.
Certainly, for the board's benefit, we will send out the notice of award to the contractors. Once the required documents are returned, we will notify the township that the contracts are ready for your execution.
Okay, great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, moving on to the lawn mowing contracts.
Yes, I don't know if Eric Detweiler's on today or not, but.
Yes, I am.
Yes, he is. Okay. How's it working with you there, Eric? Can you hear us well?
Good. Yep.
Okay. I had talked to Eric yesterday about the proposals for lawn mowing. Chance, are you interested in getting back in this at all? Or? Okay. Just thought I'd ask since I saw you. Yes, we've been, I think, very pleased as a board on what Eric from Vantage has done for us. You know, I had spoke to him about the quotes that were given to us, and last year there was some mowing done I think 3 different times in November, and I'm not sure there was a lot of growth at that point. And you know, I spoke to him about the availability to be a little flexible in a mowing schedule from week to week with guidance. And he expressed to me that he's very open to that idea, and with sufficient notice, he can keep us scheduled and on track with that. You know, am I missing anything here, Eric?
No, I think that would be about it. I guess with the respect to the weeding, we're also obviously able to take care of that at the township building as well. I know you had said sometimes it's done and sometimes it's not. So, either, we can do that either way.
Okay. The one thing that we didn't talk about yesterday, Eric, was Fishing Creek Park. That is on the list of quotes as well. And our MS4 officer Ken here.
Yes, there are two projects out there. One is behind where Triple G is. There is an area we've put in tree saplings, and that's going to be returned to a forest riparian buffer state. And in the other part of Fishing Creek Park, where the parking area is, there are two large lawn areas along Church Street that are being turned into a wildflower meadow.
So Eric, the question for you is, with the changes there, there's not near as much grass to mow. I don't know if you've been made aware of that, or you wanted to reevaluate that part of the quote. There's a large portion of lawn that was there to mow that's not there anymore. I'm sure Ken doesn't want his flowers mowed down, so.
Or the trees.
Or the saplings.
Or the trees, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to reevaluate that part of the quote, or do you think it's inconsequential? You want to leave it the same, or what are your thoughts?
I guess I wanted to just double check. I thought that Fishing Creek was on the contract that is not being bid out this year. I have like the 100 Hill Road, Old Homestead Park, Stony Point.
Yeah. Are you interested in reevaluating that?
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. I know last year with the addition of the trees, it actually added a lot of work because of the trimming. I don't know. I guess it would be, the understanding would be that we would trim around the trees that were added. Is that correct?
I can meet you out there someday if you want to see exactly what's going on relative to the trees that are there.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would be helpful. I don't want any confusion there on that part of the contract here. I saw that there was price increases on the other locations here at Hill Road. It went from 106 to 125 per mow. Reamstown Park, it went from 200 to 225 per mow, and at Old Homestead went from 106.50 to 125. So those were the increases per event on that part of contract, and that's based on 25 mows for the season.
Right.
Now, if we wind up with less events there, are you still good with those prices per event, Eric?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, that'd be correct.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I would suggest, Eric, he wants to make sure and get us on a schedule and know that we're going to be there for him. So I would suggest that we approve this part of the contract, which is these 3 locations at that rate per mowing event. So I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. Questions?
Yeah, this is the company that mows on the outside of the fence.
Correct, and
Being there, we went quite a bit last year. There's times they were coming to mow, like the pool was open, and people would go along the fence and put their stuff down and go to the pool. And the guys mowing would just go, no matter which way they're mowing, grass was blowing on people along the fence. They're aware that maybe they can come before the pool opens, at least to do that area. So you like, grass. And sometimes the guys are blowing the stuff in, well, somebody hits a stick or a stone and all the kids there and stuff running around, they could fall. Just make sure maybe that's the part they need to make sure they get thumbs over.
We can definitely make that adjustment.
Go ahead, Eric.
I was just gonna say, we can definitely make a time adjustment on when the park is cut. I guess I can just get the hours for the pool and adjust from there.
Okay, so you have flexibility to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Well, I'll have, you have that motion for to approve these three locations at that price.
I seconded it, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, motion carries.
Eric, how about if we leave the old portion open until our next meeting in 2 weeks? Just so that you and Ken can meet out there at Fishing Creek Park, and you can give us some feedback on what you see there and what your thoughts are moving forward.
Great, that sounds good.
And we should probably, Stony Point Basins is a separate line item. And that's a different proposal. We should get that motion on that as well. The Stony Point Basins, there's a price of $125 per mow on that. And is there any questions on that part?
Jeff, one of the Stony Point basins has an area in the bottom that's supposed to be allowed to grow up. We had flagged it with some wire flags, but there's part of it that was being mowed that wasn't supposed to be mowed. And
Okay.
so we'd like to, we can meet back at the same time if you want to show you exactly where that is. And get that one.
So that's a little bit of a wetland project there.
Yeah, there's some vegetation supposed to be growing up in that one basin. It's the one right next to the larger field.
Are you all right with Eric, with coordinating with Ken to look at that as well?
Yes, definitely. If you want to shoot me an email, we could definitely set up a time that works well.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the Stony Point Basins at $125 per mowing.
And I will second that. Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And we will, like I said, Eric, we will leave the other part open until our next meeting in 2 weeks and look for feedback from you.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And there's one more piece to this puzzle with Stokes Lawn Care. They actually mow inside the fence at the Reamstown pool. They gather the grass clippings and take them away, and they do a nice job with that. So we have a quote of $100 per mowing event from them. So is there any questions on that part of it? If not, I'll make a motion that the $100 per mowing event for this mowing season.
And I will second that. No comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, motion carries.
Great.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, so moving along. Department reports, police department chief. Oh, I missed one. Oh, yeah, that is the one that she's swimming.
Yeah. We have a proposal. We have two proposals from True Green Services and Total Lawn Care. They are weeding and feeding. I know from in the past with Total Lawn Care, he's a former resident of the township, Bob Landis, who's now next door in Brecknock Township, but he's still doing this work. He gave us a price of $710 for I guess 2 different events. Crabgrass control early on and a fall weed and feed later on. And here at the municipal building, there's a bid for Old Homestead Park over there at $755, and that's for the similar treatments. We also have bids over at the Reedstown Pool. That's broken down into a whole different list of categories. Broadleaf control in the spring here, and spring fertilizer with crabgrass control, or grub control, weed and tick control, summer weed feed, fall weed and feed, with the $1,660 total. These 2 are well, then they're finished. Stony Point Park, it's similar with a spring application, $560, and fall weed feed at $485. It's a little over $1,000 total. These 3 parks is what I was talking to Eddie about, looking at with the rec board to come back with a recommendation, see how they see it out there, and not move forward until we hear from them. But here at the township building, I don't know if we want to consider that now, or I think that's more of our call than it is them. But go ahead, James.
Brief question here. I know from when I had mowed at the pool, the outside of the fence, was that ever treated? I remember that alongside the water authority building, it was pretty weedy in there.
Yeah, last year it wasn't. I believe inside the fence it was. It was viewed in the past that with all the use on the lawn there, and people every day that the grub control, the tick, and that stuff should be put down so that you have a more pleasurable experience.
I guess one of my concerns would be that the clover when it comes to the flower,
Yeah.
leaves like doing, I hate to see someone that would be allergic.
Yeah, well, that's
something.
a little, I guess, why we threw it out to the rec board there with them. I think Eddie's emails are available to him. If you want to just reach out and give him a little feedback on that when they're out there to look at that and see if they see that as a problem being treated. Okay. So, yeah, what are your thoughts here at the township bill?
What I'd like to do with this one is let's table this one for the next meeting.
Sure.
Jeff, because this one came in at the last minute here.
Yeah, it would.
And I don't have the other one here, so I just want to take a quick look at it to do the comparison. So I'd like to table it at this point. We can address it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The True Green proposal was more money, but to be fair to the residents here, that also included a treatment on the islands on the boulevard out there. We are still waiting for the road crew to get their certifications. It's been a challenge with COVID and trying to get this done. I know I'll address that from my perspective. I have a private applicator's license too. And to get credits to keep that in place has been a real challenge this past winter. They're not readily available that they can pass. So with the private applicator's license I have, it's an every 3-year renewal. So I've got a little leeway there from year to year. But it's been a challenge for the crew to get their certifications on this stuff. So we might have to get the islands treated by an outside contractor. I don't know, but we'll hold off on that decision because it doesn't have to be made now. We'll see what develops this month yet until we get to that point. So,
And I believe we have a question from.
June, are you on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you?
Go ahead.
Okay, June Rose. I know that there's a lot of poison ivy near the basketball court at Old Homestead. Will that be treated as well? I've asked in the past, but
Well, that'll be part of the evaluation that we ask the rec board to do. If you want to get Eddie Macalanis, the chairman of the rec board, he has email there. If you'd like to send him a little note about that to take a look at it and come back with an answer for you, that would be helpful to us.
okay, I've asked the road crew in the past to please look into that, but are you saying that the roadmaster still is not certified to treat with herbicides?
Yes, that's correct.
Is he working?
Yes, yes.
He's not out on COVID again?
Well, here's.
That's a personnel matter.
Right.
And
Here's the situation. I just explained it, that these certification processes have been very hard to get done over this past winter. The COVID has changed everything that Penn State does. They are one of the major certifiers in the state that.
Right, I
provide-
heard you.
So,
I know that.
So yeah, I like, you can if you let Eddie know on the rec board, it wouldn't be hard. I think his email's available as chairman of the rec board, that he could look at that while they're out on their tour.
Well, they may not see it this time of year. The
Well,
poison.
From my past experience, most of those broadleaf weeds, if they're not growing, it's hard to kill. Crabgrass you put down as a tree emergent and it takes care of it, but clover and poison ivy, it has to be growing actively to control it.
Right, that's my point. If you don't see it now, it doesn't mean it's not gonna come up again.
Okay, well, that would be an email to Brett then to have the crew keep an eye on it for future control.
Well, my point is, if we're having somebody treat this, because they don't have the certifications, can they just add this as a necessity to clean that up?
Well, timing's everything on this, and normally they're not out until the middle or end of May on these treatment programs. And it could be delayed a week or two, that maybe that could be growing when they're out there. So yeah, it'd be helpful to know exactly where that is and have that information to them. I can pass that along to them if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay.
one more question.
Yeah, just curious, I'm not sure if you guys have known or not, Vantage also does commercial applications. I only saw it for 2 days for fertilizer. Not sure if you wanted to reach out to them since they would do mowing, they would probably best know.
I can do that.
What we would need.
I can do that. That's good information. I'll talk to Eric about that as well.
Thank you, Chance. Okay, now moving on to department reports.
I will keep the
Chief.
I will keep the police department report very brief. Everything's going well. Everyone's doing fine. And the new officers are still in the FDO, but they're working their way through, so things are good.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Zoning officer.
Yes, as usual, I'll have a full report at the next meeting, but there is one item I want to bring up, and I'll keep it brief. As most of us are aware, we've seen some political signs out in the township. And once I got a complaint over a week ago about those, I reached out to the candidate and also to the owner of the billboard and sent them notices of violation concerning the posting of those signs, because they're outside the time period where they're allowed to be posted. It's 30 days prior to an event, to an election, and up to 5 days after. And I'm happy to say we sent out, I'm not happy to say, but we sent out over 58 letters to all of the properties that were displaying signs. And I just got an update on that because some of those signs have been removed. I'm happy to say that. But getting a follow-up updated list of the properties that still have signage out, I still have 36 of them that need to be mailed out. Now, my assistant Arlene has already gotten that list and have them ready, and has them ready actually being mailed today. So we'll send out those additional notices to those additional properties. Now, the unfortunate part is that the second round of letters should go out in some sort of certified mail. Okay? Now, 36 letters going out at $7, roughly $8 per certified mail ticket, adds up to $200 to $300 very quickly. I'm also happy to say that we reached out to the Denver Post Office this morning, and there is a process, a registration process, where we do not need a receipt signed, but the post office actually tracks the letter that's sent. And that's only $4 as opposed to $8. So it's going to cost the township taxpayers money to send these letters out, but not as bad as initially thought. And they will be in the mail today.
Yeah, we're required to do so because of our ordinance.
By law,
So
yeah.
we're required to do so.
We're following the guidelines per our solicitor and per our ordinance, and also the Lawrence County Board of Elections. We mimic their requirements on this, so everybody's on the same page.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a
Question,
question.
Tony?
Is this gonna be something that's gonna happen from moving forward? Just asking, because I still see Trump and Pence signed up and stuff. I didn't know if it's,
Yeah.
or is it only gonna be when you get complaints? I'm just asking.
When I get complaints, I follow up on them and I send people letters.
I just didn't know, I know there's, for every election, there's always months ahead of time. I mean, last July, you saw signs.
Correct. There are still people out there with Trump and Biden signs.
So I didn't know if they're all getting,
Well, based on the advice from our lawyers, our solicitor, political signs are a slippery slope. It can be seen as an infringement on people's rights to express themselves. He did not advise the township going forward on this to prosecute people for disobeying the ordinance, because quite honestly, he says you just won't win it. And that's what we're following. And my board members are aware of all that, as is both of our solicitors. Yes. So,
You know, Tony, no one's against signs.
Right.
This is the duration of the sign.
correct.
And as Donnie just mentioned,
Yeah.
they're still trumping. That's why that ordinance is in place.
Correct.
So those things should be long on. That
Correct.
was November of last
Oh, yeah.
year.
And I sent out letters to, we had complaints about the Trump and Biden signs back in the day during the election. And there were several people that got letters because they had questionable language on the signs. All right, and those people, I'm happy to say, complied right away. But there are just some people that will not take them down because it's their freedom of speech. And we're infringing upon
It is, and it's just, again, the duration.
Sure.
Just like these meetings, we have 5 minutes to talk. So there's a duration.
Sure, I understand.
So you're on.
So what exactly is the law? Oh, yeah, sorry, did
Um,
you state it?
You can, well, I don't have it written in front of me, but basically what it says is you cannot post a political election sign in the township more than 30 days prior to the election date and no more than 5 days after, then they have to be removed. So that's the period of time.
So can you give us an idea of how much you've already spent in time and man hours in this effort?
I can't get you that. I don't have it immediately, but I can get you an idea between myself, staff, getting these letters together, mailed out, all that. Yeah, we can add that up.
Average estimate?
10 hours, 20 hours, 100 hours?
I would say probably 10 hours, yeah.
And how many hundreds of dollars just in postage?
I'm sorry?
How many hundreds of dollars just in postage has these Cocalico township spent on?
And I can get you that. The first amount of letters were 58 that were sent out at the current postage rate. And now we're gonna have this additional postage add up with the certified letters.
And that takes these Cocalico employees' time away from other important work that you need to do.
Understood, yes. Yes, Jan.
Would the board be open to modifying the ordinance to essentially alleviate some of the time constraints and things? Because it really is a freedom of speech.
It's a great comment. I think what we try, think the history here, not knowing the history, Doug may remember, I'm not sure. But I think the history here was more or less follow the guidelines that were set by the county.
Yeah,
So that's what we're trying to do. Is my understanding of the history. And that's what
We're
we're
coming
trying
into
to, that's what we're
primary
trying to
season,
honor.
and a lot of times primaries get, going pretty early. So, getting the word out, getting recognition is, I think, it's going to be quite important.
I think,
Sorry, I think the ordinance, when it was originally put in place, was designed to mimic what the county would do, so you don't have, well, they say I can do this, but you say I can do that, so. And Doug would agree with you, it's nice to be on the same page, so everybody is enforcing the same ordinance.
Problem is, people don't know ordinances, they don't read them, and, they just feel here.
I understand.
But I guess what I'm running into is the county's not going out there wasting resources enforcing it.
Well, one of my first phone calls, when I got the first complaint, I went right to the county board of elections, spoke with the young lady there, she advised me on their rules and regs, which we are identical to theirs. And she said that she would make a phone call to the candidate, explain the rules and regs, but that's as far as they can go. I mean, nobody's going out there with handcuffs to get people off to give up. Just doesn't.
Another thing is, where does it stop? I mean, there's reopened PA signs, that's political sons of speech. So where does the ordinance fall in relation to that?
I think this is a much broader issue that we can't address in this Cocalico. We can only do so much, Chance, and what we're trying to do is honor the spirit of what the county's doing. And we're doing that with our ordinance.
Well, again, simply, a sign ordinance is just so the township is not filled with signs, period, that's it. Nobody's
That's
opposed
the
to
intent.
anybody or anything else, but if everybody could just put signs up, as long as they want, about whatever they want, you will like the looks of this heck for a while. And so before, maybe, excuse me, but just, I don't have the issue so much beforehand, other than there's people that play by the rules and people that don't play by the rules. But I think the big deal is, after the election, get them down.
Correct. Correct. And after major elections and whatnot, again, on the advice of our solicitor, he said point blank, no township employee should ever go out there and throw a political sign. You're just opening up a can of worms.
Well, I respectfully disagree with Mr. Good, because you do have the ability to make those people take the signs down. And that's in our ordinance. Now, he's the guy that all the ordinances have to go to him to get approved before they're passed. So I don't want to hear from him that stay away from it. Then why did you tell us to pass it, Mr. Goodman? Why did you tell us that it's all right to do it? And now you're contradicting yourself. It's there for a reason. And the reason's simple. Put them up 30 days ahead, take them down 5 days after, end of conversation. Why do you think you're special and you can put it up 40, 50, 60 days ahead of time? And ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Any police officer will tell you that. Is that correct, Chief?
You're correct on that.
Thank you.
And to Mr. Mackley's point, and Mrs. Mackley's point, yes, we do have a sign ordinance. And you can go outside this building and see a pile of signs that I routinely pick up around this township of people advertising off-site, which is against our ordinance and all that. And Mrs. Mackley's right. The last thing we need is these things all over the roadways, blowing into the street, in the snow, all that good stuff. So that's part of my responsibilities. I'm picking up all these errant signs, pulling them at the corners, the intersections. Are political signs or a slippery slope? As I was told.
Siri, you had a question?
Yeah, so you're telling me that the candidate was told by the Board of Elections that the signs needed to come down and he didn't comply?
I'm telling you that I talked to the county board of elections and they said they would contact him.
And I imagine they would, and then he still encouraged his followers to keep their signs up and cost the township money and effort,
I'm not aware of that because I don't have Facebook. I don't get into any of that social media.
while the endorsed candidate believes in obeying laws and is waiting until the 18th of April to post for a sign.
I think we have one other question. June, did you?
Yes, two things. I hope that these people that are putting up signs realize that it has to say on there who paid for the sign. And the second point is that woman Kelly, who was running for a representative back in November, her sign is still up right by Morphy's Antiques on 272. Now that's.
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that too. But again, once again, we've got a political sign.
Pardon?
I'm aware of the signs by Ms. Kelly. I saw that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to MS4. Ken.
I'm good in PDF up here. Very well. Give me just a moment.
Oh, by the way, RC's buying lunch in 15 minutes.
Really? Bro. You know, the chief sit next to me, but I drove here and I forgot my wallet. I just started going.
Now, what this relates to is the township is in the process of applying for a grant. It's called a Community Development Block Grant, and it's through the Lancaster County Redevelopment Authority. And because the money is originally federal money, there are lots of hoops that one has to jump through in order to apply for it. One of them is that there has to be a public meeting on which people are given an opportunity to comment on it if they so desire. And they also need back from this who asked the questions, what the questions were, and that all has to get transcribed later. So if you care to make comment, that's fine, but please state your name so it goes into the recording and you can tell who said what. That's required for this grant. Now, project involves doing some really long-term maintenance on some of the stormwater pipes in Reamstown Heights subdivision. Reamstown Heights subdivision is sort of centered around where Cardinal is, where the District Justice office is on Church Street. And it was one of the very first subdivisions in the county, the first set in the township. The first phase of that project was approved in 1947. And so there's a lot of stormwater pipe out there underground. That's the corrugated metal pipe, basically steel and zinc plated for somewhat corrosion resistance, but they don't last forever. They eventually start deteriorating. And so what we're asking for is funding to do a process called slip lining, where we take, actually it's in here, if you ever look at samples of it. There's a sample of it. I'm going to to the other side. Yeah. Okay, so it starts out like this. It's heated up, dragged through the pipe, and using high pressure steam, it's expanded to fill the entire pipe. This is pretty heavyweight material. And yet, when you're done, you cut it off at the ends, and you have a pipe which is now heavy plastic and probably last 100 years rather than 40 or 50 that steel pipe does. And it's a somewhat of an expensive process, but it's far better than ripping up the streets and the sidewalks and having it take months to do. So it's much quicker. Can be done probably just in a couple of weeks with very little disturbance. The grant that we're applying for is $200,000, and we're required to put in a 20% match, which means the township will be putting in $40,000, which comes out of the MS4 budget, and it was budgeted for this year. Okay, so the areas that are going to be done, there's one on Blue Jay Drive, 2 long sections of Cardinal, a little bit of Oriole, and a little bit of Bunker Hill Road. There's some pictures. You can see this pipe here. That's the end of the pipe, and this whole section in there has rotted away. And it's just missing. What happens if that is like that, and that's out in the middle of the pipe, the water, instead of running through the pipe, starts going around the pipe and creates sinkholes, and you can have pavement cave in, sort of a Palmyra situation. So that's why we're applying for this. It would presumably could still be done this year. They think that the announcements of the grant funding will be out possibly by July 1st. And that's basically the description of the project. So if anyone has any questions, yes.
What is the pipe made out of?
State your name, so it's in the report.
What is the pipe made out of?
I believe it's like PVC.
So there's no issues of anything toxin seeping into the soil or anything, right?
No, it's probably the same type of stuff that your water pipes in your house are made from. Water.
Just as a little more informational, part, Tony and I were at a demonstration where this was done over at the pool parking lot. This was pulled through the existing pipe, and the process went on. They heated it up. It took quite a while, more than an hour. With the
Actually, I have pictures from when they did it.
Yeah.
So the first step is to clean out the pipes, blow out any gravel or stuff in there. Then the plastic material is in a full-size semi that they then start pumping steam into it. It has to get up to about 160, 170 degrees for the stuff to soften. They then take the folded stuff, feed it into the pipe. It's pulled through from the other end. That's what it looks like, folded in one of the inlets on that pipe. After it's expanded, blows up to the full size, and then they simply saw it off at the two ends so the water can get back into it. This is the opposite end of the pipe when they're blowing steam in it to basically inflate it, and that's what the final pipe looks like. So a little bit of water coming out of there.
They heated up that much that the plastic actually conforms to the corrugated metal pipe.
Yeah, so it's basically being blown up like a balloon.
Right.
But constrained by the pipe. It was interesting when they did that, it conformed so nicely. If you look down the pipe, you can still see the spiral of the corrugated metal pipe in the shape of the plastic lining when it's done.
And it didn't take them a lot of pressure either to get that to flow out. It's just around 14 or 15 pounds of pressure in there.
It's mostly they have to get it hot enough so it softens.
Yep.
I think there's one thing to point out, to do normal excavation on short pipes that are easily accessible, we probably can do them cheaper with the road crew or have an excavation company do that, because this is not cheap, obviously. But where you have pipes like this traversing through the roadway and you got multiple utilities crossing them and all that, this is ideal because you don't have all that excavation costs, all of those easement agreements that need to be applied for and all that. Brent Lee made a point of making sure that when we do this, it's really like the last case scenario to get this done. And then you don't have to worry about it for 70, 80, 90 years. But again, there are places in the township and maybe short runs, easy accessibility that we can possibly do it ourselves and save the taxpayers money. But in those areas that we can't, this is by far the best process that we've ever seen.
I'll add one thing to that, Tony. There's an inconvenience factor. I've seen it where some of these roads are ripped up.
Oh, sure.
And they're ripped up for 3 months. And nobody has access. They physically have to walk some.
Sure, steel plates
This,
over the road. the whole
this
bit.
isn't going to result in road closures. They just block off part of it where they're parking. Couple other points about this. The area in which you're allowed to use this grant is places where the medium and low income housing people, their incomes are less than 46% of the average. And so it's basically for the low and middle income areas, which is why we're doing it in that section. That's the only area in the township where met the income requirements to be able to do this. And when we started with this, we sent the road crew out, actually down in the inlets with lights to look through them, and they evaluated all the pipes in that area. And the ones we're doing are the worst case situations. There's enough money to do all of them now. But this block grant reoccurs in the later. It's kind of an annual cycle, so that if we want to do this in the future, we could probably apply for more money to do additional pipe.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, Ken, do you need anything else from us at this point?
No, I think you did the approval letter for it at your last supervisor meeting.
Yes, so I,
And this goes through, and I also presented this to the planning commission on Monday, so we'll have a letter from them.
okay, so you're not waiting on anything from us at this point, okay?
No. that is-
Great. Thank you, Ken. All right, moving on to financial administration report. That'll be presented at the second meeting. And that's tabled, so let's go on to the list of bills, please.
Okay, list of bills for this meeting, $291,434.28 of general fund. So is there any question about it? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have three, Jeff. The first one is on page 1. It's to Gerard. $1,100 for Gatsby report. I thought we did away with Gatsby. That's not a requirement. The auditors don't require a Gatsby report to do the audit.
Doug, I will double check on this, but I know that Judy had one final thing she had to do to close out something else.
Okay.
Okay? Good. So that I will check on that. I think there was one final thing they had to do to close something previously from no longer using Gatsby.
All right.
I'll check on that.
The next one is, I think I can answer this myself, but on page 2, 10 key fobs. I would assume that that's just due to the turnover here that happened in the last month or so. You're getting everybody new key fob.
Well, there were the ones that were delivered and returned, so I'm not exactly sure. That's still something in process.
Okay.
I mean, we received an invoice, but there were some that we either didn't need or weren't working as we thought they were, so.
There was a glitch there. One of, they sent us something that wouldn't work.
Okay.
There was, yeah.
So we gave that back to Shirley and then she called in, so.
Yeah,
Find out.
yeah, okay, to be determined.
Thank you. And the last one would be down at the bottom of page 2. Knowles office furniture, $2,200.
Well, we moved some personnel around in the building.
Okay.
Shirley is back in what used to be the old zoning office. And we talked about at last meeting that there's files that need to be replaced. We need more files, room too. So there was files bought there. There was a couple of new desks and some chairs, updating some of the equipment. That's a little where it is.
Fair enough.
And those are all budgeted items.
Yeah.
I think we had somewhere around even $40,000 for flooring and all those budgeted items. And maintenance items. So, I will, at the end here, Doug, I have some things I have to announce, and that'll basically close that for you and wrap it together. Does that make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Anybody else?
And then June has one. June, are you on?
Yes,
Thank you.
on the list of bills for 2 project, it's 60816. It has a project number, but that doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Could you tell me what that was?
The Ratu bill there, the bottom figure was for the road bid projects, the $3,652. I'll have to research that top one. I know that what the bottom one was. The other one's Wabash Landing, that was, I think, billable. So, I can get you an answer on that project. Did that match up to, let me get you an answer next meeting on that number. Can I, June?
Okay, so you're gonna approve to pay it, but we're not sure what it is.
No, we're just not sure which project that one's attached
Okay.
to. I'm not sure if that was the current roadway big project we just did that I announced earlier. That was
Okay.
contract number 1 and number 2. Okay?
All right, appreciate both of your help.
Yep, thank you. We'll pin down which one that was for.
I don't see anybody.
Okay, hearing nothing more, Make a motion, we approve the list of bills as presented.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Moving on, PA Fire and Emergency Services Institute, the proposal from Jeremy Warzog. Jeff, I think you're handling that. Do you want to table that at this time? Okay. We will table that one at this time. Thank you.
Yes.
And then North Reamstown Road and Colonel Howard Boulevard, the street lighting. I would like to table that, but what I'd like to do with that one is, Tony, if I could, if I may, I'd like to assign that one to you as an action item to follow up on that one. Yeah, you can go put the lights in.
Yeah, exactly.
For the next meeting, just in terms of the research of where we were and what our next steps are.
Lighting of that little intersection, that's what we're talking about.
That is correct. That was that street lighting, that overhead lighting, yeah.
Not an intersection light, it's an overhead.
Correct.
EPNL was contacted.
We were waiting, they were contacted and we were waiting for feedback on that.
Yeah.
So that one doesn't slip through the cracks.
Yeah, some correspondence.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So under new business and informational business, we have a number of things here. Let me read the first one to you. So this came in from the Reamstown Fire Company, March 26th, and it says, quote, "Dear Board of Supervisors, the Reamstown Fire Company #1 requests permission for the East Cocalico Township Supervisors to conduct a donation collection point, quote, toll road, end quote, at the intersection of Reamstown Road and East-West Church Street in East Cocalico Township on Friday, April 21st. The toll road would operate from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. on that date and be staffed by members of the Reamstown Fire Company #1. All proceeds from this fundraiser will be used by the Reamstown Fire Company to continue to provide emergency services to the citizens of East Cocalico Township and surrounding municipalities. We appreciate your continued support for our mission. Sincerely, Timothy Fry."
It's tomorrow.
It's
for Good Friday.
It's April 2nd. It's for tomorrow.
Hit all that green dragon.
Yeah, it's pretty Good Friday, they'll love it.
Yep, and I believe this is an annual event that they have done for many, many, many years. So it's an informational. So I will make a motion on that. Go ahead and allow them to do that.
Prove their use there. And yes, that's a recurring event every year. It's all positive for their. So I will second.
Okay, have a second. All in favor? Aye. No opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you to our fire companies, all of you. Thank you. Moving on to Chief, you have corrugated cardboard, just some quick statistics. We got the statistics back on the cardboard.
So 2020, and Lisa did a great job on this, as she always does as a recycling officer, but 2020 brought 9.34 tons of recycled cardboard. And so far in 2021, we have 2.29 tons. So it's on track to be relatively the same from what I'm seeing on the stats. That's what we have so far. But I think the 2020 stats finally were all in, so the 9.34 tons.
So moving on to some other general information, I think it's important in terms of full disclosure for the residents in our municipality to know. So as I mentioned earlier, we had an all hands on deck meeting on the 22nd. That went from 8 to 8:30. The purpose of that meeting was we were discussing some overlapping of job functions. We were discussing our staff stepping up and doing some, I call it cross covering during this transition period. We put a bunch of plans in place. The staff has really stepped up, and I have to tell you, I cannot sincerely emphasize enough how thankful I personally am over how our staff has stepped up this past week. My phone's been ringing off the hook, so has Jeff's, but I can imagine it would have been a lot worse had it not been for our staff stepping up and doing all the work that they have done. Okay, so some of the things that we implemented in that process, and this will go to close some of your questions, Doug, from earlier. One of the things that we implemented at that time was we have Shirley, who's our HR administrator. Shirley needed to have, and that was an item that had come up. She needed to have an independent office, so we went ahead and put her back in the office in the rear. Okay. One of the reasons we need to do that is she has been sharing a lot of files and doing a lot of work, of course, with Judy that are HR related. So there needs to be, let's call it a geographic shortcut in terms of their ability to communicate with each other constantly. The other reason that she was moved into that office back there, which was the prior supervisor office, Doug, is so that if and when she has HR issues, there's some, she needs a private space to be able to handle those types of things. Okay. Tony has stepped up. I mean, I just can't express it enough. Our road crew has stepped up. Everybody's doing everything they can right now to help each other out, the entire staff, and get us through these times. The chief has really stepped up. He's volunteered, and he's acting as really the in-house administrative manager for quick questions and answers if people can't get a hold of us. As you know, if it takes Jeff or I a couple hours to respond to something that's a real emergency, he stepped up and tackled a lot of things. So that was one thing that I wanted to mention. Second item that was discussed is the following. I'm going to read you from a letter. I think it's important for me to read this letter, portions of the letter, so you understand. There is a letter that's going to be going out from East Cocalico Township, care of a company called IDX. That will be going out to all board members, all employees, anyone who has received a check from East Cocalico in terms of pay. Okay. So here's what happened. On March 3rd of 2021, we discovered that a file folder containing paper copies of W-2s, wage and tax statement information for the township employees was missing. As soon as we discovered this, we launched an internal investigation to search for the missing file folder. While we have not yet been able to locate the file folder, our efforts and investigations remain ongoing. We continue to look for the file folder. But in addition, we did notify the IRS and the Federation of Tax Administrators in an attempt to help prevent any type of fraudulent activity on any accounts. At this time, we have no evidence to suggest that the information was stolen or misused in any way. We are notifying, so we notified our staff, the head of the boards for planning, zoning, rec board, whoever else may be out there, they're being notified so they can let their people know. What we are doing, as soon as we discovered the incident, we took the steps to describe. We took steps. We also intend to, we intend as a municipality, we notified our insurance carrier, and we intend as a municipality to provide supplemental training for employees internally about tax information and delicacy of some of this information. We likewise will be upgrading and reviewing policies for handling and storage of information, Doug, some of the things you saw in the bills there. Okay. Additionally, we're providing you with some we're providing employees with guidance that they're going to get letters. In those letters, there's going to be formal notification for some guidance on some steps they can take. And we're offering identity protection services for 5 years for all of our employees through a company called IDX. They're basically think of it as everyone knows LifeLock. IDX is a separate company. For data protection services, identity protection, credit monitoring, and the policy limits for that level of protection that we're providing is $1 million per employee. Okay. So the process now is we contracted with IDX through our insurance carrier via an open insurance claim. They are sending out notifications to the employees. The employees will receive a letter. In those letters, not only employees and volunteers that get paid, though they will receive that letter. In the letter, they will log into the IDX system. They have a unique identifier, populate all the information, nothing else for them to do. And they're fully covered for the 5 years for the $1 million and all the identity theft or protection. So that was one of the things that I wanted to announce, and that was one of the reasons for some of the equipment, meetings, and such and such. Yes.
He just got that got paid or something.
Yeah.
So is he on that?
Yes. Yes. So you'll be getting one done.
And that would include all the retired police officers?
I'm not sure if it includes that. I don't believe it would, but I have to check.
Yeah.
And if I could just add very quickly, I was shocked at this. I don't deal with this very often on that side of things, but the legal requirements for written or paper documents are no notification. The legal requirements for electronic is you have to know.
For the state of Pennsylvania.
Correct. I was shocked with that, but
So
this isn't applying here. The township is taking that extra step of
Well,
notifying.
I don't want to get into the gory detail, but right now I'm just a taxpayer, but there's got to be only a certain number of people that have access to it.
Well, it's an ongoing thing, so we're looking into it.
Okay. I said I don't want.
And it just begs me another question. You said board members, some board members are paid and some aren't. Just a question, I didn't know that.
Zoning board.
The zoning board members get a, when
Planning
they show up for a
commission.
meeting, they get paid for
And
a
planning.
few dollars.
yeah.
That's correct. And there's other,
Yeah. So when I say, when I reference that, Susie, what I'm referring to is like Eddie's on the planning board, but I don't know that they're reimbursed for that at all.
He's on the record.
I'm sorry, rec board.
And he shouldn't be.
Correct. So it's only the boards where
First
they
layer.
were paid first layer and they
First
were
layer.
reimbursed. Right, that's what I meant to say, thank you. So, next thing I want to announce we had discussed it earlier, just quick for the residents. We are fully operating such that we plan on opening the pool on time this year. Again, we mentioned it earlier. And I want to thank the road crew. The road crew again has stepped up quite a bit in terms of doing everything and checking to see what they need, what has to happen, the timeliness to make sure we stay on schedule. Right? The final thing I want to bring up is I think it's important. Again, this is your community. You own all of this. We're just representatives. Is the status of the open supervisor position, Okay. So we have received, Jeff, you want to make a couple comments or?
To my knowledge, we received 3 interested parties that stepped up for the open position. I think RC and we've been approaching this individually, that we're going to talk to each one of them individually, and then, hopefully my goal is to come back next meeting and have the conversation in public of who we each want to see appointed there. So I've been gathering some information. I've talked to 2 of them already in an interviewing kind of situation. I created a list of questions about current topics here in the township, whether it be traffic impact fee or LERTA or anything else we've been dealing with in commonality to get some feedback and thoughts of where their thought process is going forward. So, you know, that will be ongoing. Perhaps I'll make a second call. The third individual, I'm looking forward to talking to him soon as well. So, you know, that's my thoughts where this is headed. You know, we had consulted the solicitor before this happened, and he said, you know, that we should be going about this individually, that we're not to be meeting together on this interviewing process. So, you know, it's my goal to be following process here, and you know, unless you received something in the last day or two, I had 3.
Yeah, so I received 3 also.
Yeah, okay.
So that was, and I know they're the same ones because we were both copied on them.
Correct.
So that's how we know that. But we're working through that process also.
Yeah.
Okay. Chief, go ahead from here.
Sure.
The chief / manager / manager.
So just so everybody's aware, the police department and my presence isn't suffering. There's many people down there that sergeants have stepped up, the ops manager stepped up, and I have spent some extra hours down there after I've been doing things for, I call it upstairs, I apologize, downstairs, upstairs, just how I refer to it. So the things that occurred, Judy, myself, and Shirley sat down, reviewed the life insurance and the health insurance, and just to make sure that the people that are on the plan are to be on the plan, and that there isn't any spouses or anyone else that are not supposed to be on the plan. And that is set, and it is appears to be all good. We also reviewed the vehicle insurance for the police department. So no vehicles are on there that we no longer own. So that the vehicle insurance is also set. But I would ask for a motion in reference to old car 6 to be placed on municipal bids. Mechanical issues that I believe has 138,000 miles on it for a old car that is exceeding the top line. It was used by the SRO for quite a long time in the last year or 2. So it is not worth fixing mechanical problem issues that are present. So I would ask for a motion that that be sold on municipal bids, and when the opportunity presents itself and when it is completely decommissioned with equipment.
I'm gonna make that motion.
Okay, yeah, I'll second it. Everything has a lifespan.
And we've done that before.
Yes.
We will put it on there, and it will be sold as is. So, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
No, just,
Sorry.
I think people in here don't know it doesn't cost you anything.
No, municipal
This
is
is
free.
all for nothing, that the buyer pays the premiums and everything else.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
And then when it's sold, I would go down with the new buyer to the notary service in the township that we've utilized in the past and transfer everything over. So it's a quick process. I checked with Judy regarding the CARES Act funding. And to the best of her knowledge, the monies are coming directly from the federal government. The status and the parameters are still being determined with guidance forthcoming. That would be the, I believe, $1 million that was referred to. I think it's about $1 million last time. So she's on top of that and keeping an eye on things to when it comes out and the rules and guidelines come out, that we follow that to utilize all the money that we possibly can from that.
We have to be cautiously optimistic about that money because it was stated what the money is for, but the requirements that are there are very, in some cases, extremely stringent and narrow, and in some cases, very confusing and broad. So stay tuned to what it really means and what we can really use it for.
So as of Monday, staff is in the building full time, and as Supervisor said, everyone has stepped up, helping each other out, answering questions, moving forward. Human Resource Officer stated has been moved, or Shirley has moved in officially. The road crew helped with that. I was thankful for several days of rain we had. They were instrumental in getting that done so quickly. But I think what we'll do for the rest of it, on approval, for the rest of the flooring and other things, probably bid that out because it's springtime and I don't think the road crew has a ton of time to move forward with that stuff. So the plan is to move Judy's desk in reference to the items that were purchased from the financial office to give her more room for filing, out to the front office for Lisa. It will give her more space, more storage space that can be locked, and provide her a little bit of privacy from the rest of that office, maybe dividing it up a little bit. The township email server was updated on March 26th. It was Friday after hours. Lisa coordinated that. Everything went smooth. We have not seen any issues. I have an update on the Stevens Road Bridge project. We received that. I believe that was from Newell, Teresa, and Maxey, and I don't think I said that right, but the engineering firm. The project is begin September 19th of 2022, so it's going to be next year, with a completion date of hopefully August 1st, 2023. So almost a year. But I would suggest that we flag this, put it on the township website at a time next year when it's becoming closer, because if it goes on now, people will just kind of miss it and forget about it. And I was also wondering and thought it might be a good idea if we notify the businesses in that area that will be affected by the closure. You know, I know one would be specifically Fox Chase. Maybe they put signage up on a different way to get there, Cox Hill or other
Small businesses
I attended the regional leaders meeting as a police department representative with Supervisor Carrasco. I was held at the Denver Rec Center so they could be social distance, or everyone could social distance. I had to leave for a personal matter, so I don't know if there's anything that was discussed that you need to bring up.
No, a couple of things, couple of key things that happened while we were there was we did have two visitors that were in, Porter Stevens and Kip Van Barl come. And they were basically discussing the Lancaster County Planning Department, basically the places 2040. That the comp plan that Lancaster County's been working on. And they just, a couple of key notes that I mentioned here is that they were really, and this was after you had left, they were really discussing a couple of things such as what they're really trying to do is get some of our zoning across multiple municipalities, Tony, kind of get it a little bit more in line and reflective of each other where there aren't a lot of big changes. They're looking at the land use maps again. They're trying to put in place some of the best practices, I guess, Ken, for you know, for things like MS4 trails, things like that. But that's primarily what the overview was for. It was just a quick overview of their places 2040. And that was really the most significant thing that occurred during the meeting.
I attended the Planning Commission meeting workshop, or the workshop meeting on March 24th. This was the first meeting of that kind that I ever attended. I was very impressed with the level of detail that the individuals on that commission asked of the developers that the plans they received to become familiar. One of the things was the village overlay model that was talked about. And then I attended the Planning Commission meeting on March 29th, and it was about a 3-hour meeting where the Garmin Builders track that they talked about earlier on 897 near Weavers and the Zimmerman development, our representatives were also there. And one thing that was brought up was the cooperation or potential cooperation with Denver Borough regarding the emergency water connect for the borough. I know they had thought about, or they're going to eventually have to connect with an emergency capacity to East Cocalico in case one of the wells went down. It was going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars. And when Mr. Hessian learned of the Zimmerman development, we talked, and it was just because I had sat through meetings with Denver Borough previously. He was thrilled that there's a possibility to partner with the authority, the township, the developer, to possibly get the emergency connect on at a much cheaper rate because it's going to be excavated, etc. And I made them aware of the Weaver Road Bridge project that will hopefully occur in Denver Borough, where the Weaver Road Bridge will be moved over onto in the area of the stone lot across from Kalis and go through that way across the creek. And hopefully, according to Denver Borough, they hope that Washington Street can be extended near or on the Henry Schein property. So they are actively working on that, but I made the developer and the board aware of all that. I attended the rec board meeting on March 30th, and we went through all that, so it was very informative, but I think their plan is to try and move forward throughout the township, and I know there was discussion, but I think throughout the township in different areas of doing things. The items today were the stuff that, or the items that they had planned or were previously planned, so. The financial administrator spoke with the board in reference to change the notification for the online payments, which is currently just payroll. So when the financial administrator makes a payment or does payroll, someone would be notified, and that is going to change from previous to now. Supervisor Mitchell will be notified. That's just part of the checks and balances that the township does. And I was asked by road crew members, I didn't have the opportunity to speak to Brett about it, but in the past, they have gotten quotes for a separation tank. Dan Tasco said he had previously gotten quotes for a separation tank and a new tank to move them for the future plan of this potential salt shed and for also renovations to their bathrooms. They said that was something that needs to happen. And I'll be completely honest with you, and I don't mean to sound rude or crass, but I've been at the road crew. I've been on patrol here for 20 years, and I have stopped and utilized the restroom facilities with the shed. And I think maybe it's time to move forward with the budgeted item of renovating that bathroom for them to get them up to speed. So
You don't want to go in there with your suit on.
not really. So, but I would ask for a motion if it's agreeable to proceed with the movement of the tanks that they spoke about at a cost not to exceed $5,000. I do not believe that is anywhere close to the budget. They will actually, maybe before that, give the motion to obtain that quote. That was, I think he got it 2 years ago, so maybe it needs some adjustment. But if that quote comes under that amount, I didn't know if that was possible to begin doing that with the coordination with Brett.
Would it make sense to get the updated quote first?
I think he said it was around $2,000. That's why I said that. But nothing.
Next meeting, maybe address that.
Absolutely. That's it. Sorry.
Questions, comments?
Whoa,
Sorry.
We got a couple of
Sorry.
items here. We lost our right to know officer, and the chief here had been alternate in 2019. And, we probably should be appointing someone to that position, being it seems to be frequently used. So, Chief, would you mind stepping up as right to know officer for a short period of time here until we're able to? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that being said, I'll make a motion to appoint Eric Ketley as right to know officer.
And I will second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none? Aye. Opposed, none? Motion carries.
The other thing, I've been assistant treasurer since I've been in the position. There should be no problem moving forward because I have the same responsibilities as treasurer, but if at some point we want to change that, that would be all right too.
I think you should be the treasurer, so I will make that motion.
And I guess I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, motion carries.
All right, that clears up a little bit of our vacancy situations.
We're going through a lot of administrative things right now. So, yes.
Yeah, well, having said that, you really do have a different format going on. And that compliments to you, Chief. You handled that well. You articulated well. And I noticed you attended a lot of the other meetings.
Yeah.
Like, is that normal for you?
No, I just figured and as I said to the committees and the groups, that the township has made an effort to make any transition period smooth. And we do not want to miss anything as a township. We want to move forward, and the last thing we want to do is postpone things and not be able to move forward. So that's why a lot of the meetings were on Zoom, so.
Okay,
It
so,
was
so
okay.
any upcoming meetings, like, you know, anything like our TIF, which we only do every so often,
I will try to
getting
attend.
direction from.
I will try to attend, and just keep in mind, I'm salaried, so there's no overtime.
Well, yeah,
We're trying to,
I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I thought Tony would be, he's the assistant manager. I mean, you did a great job. But I thought that's what I would see, that the fact that the assistant manager would step up to the plate.
well, let me add to what the chief said here also. What we're trying to do also, in full disclosure, is we're all trying to get to some of these meetings, and we're just kind of checking our schedules to see who can make what, so we have coverage. So our intent is really not to skip, try to not to skip a beat for the residents and for the businesses. That's what our focus is on right now.
And I still don't know why.
Maybe I can address that, Susie. Over the years, I've been more than happy to step up, on some more responsibility and help out the township in any way I can. Unfortunately, over the last several years, and Doug would know this too, I've got a personal situation with my mother and father, keeping them healthy and all that stuff. My wife and I are personal caregivers for them. And I don't think it's fair for me to try and do that position, which will take up so much more of my time, and I just can't commit to that. I have a commitment to my family first. So that's one of the reasons, and I've discussed this with the board, why I can't go forward with assuming the manager's position. And quite honestly, trying to do zoning code, permitting, assistant manager, it's a lot of my plate. And I think I'd be shortchanging the township, trying to do anything more.
So you just said you're not stepping up to the.
Correct.
But are you still the assistant manager?
Well, that's going to be changed very shortly here. I've already.
Because that,
Yeah.
you know, you carry a salary.
Exactly, and that's already been adjusted, and we are going to go forward with that. So I'll continue to be the zoning and code enforcement, permit official, and any other way I can help, but I will not be the assistant manager position. I will not be getting that salary, and I will not be taking the manager's position.
And how long were you in that term?
Just a year, just about a year. Yes.
So maybe last March to March?
Roughly, yeah, I think I was appointed in February of last year, yeah, about a year, a little over a year. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah.
So the chief doesn't have any kind of official, you're just still chief and you're just helping out doing.
Yes, I just wanted to help. I was asked and completely agreed.
Okay.
Due to the fact that.
The only thing you're gonna be is the right to know.
Correct.
Yeah, this goes back to what we had talked about basically cross covering each other and helping each other out. A lot of the, great example, a lot of the specific legal issues that are coming into the building, emails, things like that, those are all getting routed to me. And then decide what to do with
You
them.
get the legal issues,
Just as an example.
just so I know where to send them.
Copy, Jeff, also.
I'll stick with all of them.
Yes.
Hey, I just have one other question. Last meeting, when prior manager was here at the last meeting, we talked about the CARES Act, and I wasn't sure. I think you guys just addressed it, that you're looking for like $1 million. Is that correct? That's round number.
I think that's the allocation.
Okay, all right.
Is that round one or two though? Because I think last meeting wasn't that was discussed, what
That was
already
round-
gotten, which was round one.
That was round one, and that was what we were notified of from the county.
And how much was that?
It was just, off the top of my head, I thought it was 1.1 million, but I'm going from there.
$1,050,000.
$1,050,000.
I think that's what
Yeah.
So
So it's
now
just
we're
over.
talking about round two, which is more money.
No, the thing I brought up, I apologize, was that first part. I just wanted to make sure we were on track. Judy's on top of it, so.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that question was Penny, all right, made a comment that, I'm gonna put my glasses on. COVID relief money will be coming to the township. Is that something separate? Because she addressed it as a separate issue from the CARES Act. And it's in the minutes, and I'm thinking, what money are we getting? Where's this line start? I mean, seriously, it's in the minutes. It says COVID relief will be coming to the township. And then Pollock said that, and it was after the discussion was on the CARES Act. And I don't know if she had them confused or they're intertwined or what.
I'm not sure. I can't speak on her behalf.
No, I know you
Yeah,
can't.
what I can tell you for sure is the money that we are referencing, Doug,
It's CARES,
is the CARES Act funding money.
which is coronavirus. It's really.
Right, so, and that's that roughly $1 million. I'm trying to find the file here for the exact number, but I believe the chief is correct. I think it was just over $1 million and then 50,000.
And I know they're gonna give you ideas on where you can and can't spend it, I know.
Right, and that's why I cautioned earlier for the public. We don't have absolute clear definitions as to how that money can be used, where it can be used, and when it can be used. We're still waiting.
You gotta pass the bill before you understand. Sorry.
This is a question for the supervisors. Aside from meetings, from board of supervisor meetings, how much time do you spend each doing these Cocalico township work? And then in addition to that, how many hours in executive meetings on average?
Total time for me
Per week each.
this past week.
On average.
As long as my wife is not watching this video, I'm easily over 35 hours.
I'll similarly say the same thing. You know, we should probably go salary at this point.
Yeah.
That's beyond the meetings.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
That was
And
just
so,
this
yeah,
past week, correct?
And that was just this past week. This has nothing to do with the meetings. I'm easily in this week 35 hours.
Previous week?
Previous weeks, I was still averaging 22 hours, 25 hours a week.
So the person that you're looking for to help fill the vacancy for this year for supervisor understands the time commitment.
It was discussed with me.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions from the public? Those are public comments. Okay, announcements. The next supervisors meeting will be held on Thursday, April 15th at 7 p.m. That'll be a 7 p.m. meeting. The public meeting will be held here in East Cocalico Township, and thank you again, Ken, for all your work, and via Zoom, the way we're doing it now with the new format. There's no executive sessions in this meeting, and I would like a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Motion carries.
And lunch is on RC.
Or some. Thank you, everyone. Yes, sir.
Just to make sure I have the information, when is this thing documents, when was that discovered?
March
That's
3rd.
March 3rd. March 3rd.
Again, what did it include?
It was a file containing the W-2s for this year for these two. So it was a file that we used to give to our accountants, so they can do all the proper fees for each employee that's paid. That was all kept together with work. It's strictly available only to us.
I mean, you lost or you access it?
We can access it through other means.
What are the ramifications of that?
Well, that's where we're being proactive. Ramifications are, there could be identity theft, there could be some issues there. And that's why we're.
Sorry?
Should we stack them all?
No, you can leave them out because we'll put the table in for meetings and stuff, so I think you're good.
You don't have to stack them.
Oh, you leave the rest, okay.
Oh, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. It's just purely time points.
That's everything I have.
And we believe more than likely the file is somewhere in the building. But we're doing in good faith and prudently, we decided that it's the best thing to do for our employees.
No, it's, I want to hear Tony's big, you know, it is.
Tony's the best one to answer that question. He's well versed on that one over the last week.
I'm sure.
Hi. So you're the town.
I think that was your problem. They don't.
No. Usually the reviews on the email.
I didn't know anything.
Somebody stop the recording. Here, I got it.
Yeah. If you can't find them, I'm in the phone, give me a call and I'll give you, I don't have a card to give you. Call me. Oh, give me, I'll give you my email, Larry2851 at yahoo.com. You can send it to me and I can forward it over. And
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Then leave it there.
Different perspective.
Well.
I wonder if anybody's downstairs. I don't know, but I know Judy was down there in case you were.